ho, ho!
Hold it right there.
It's Santa here.
I knew it was you. I could smell you.
I hope you have a wonderful Christmas.
Maybe I'm off my hinges, but I believe you. That's why I'm going to let you go. I'm going to give you to the count of 3 to get your lousy, lying, low-down, four-flushing carcass out my door. 1, 2... 3. Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic edition of the Hop Nation USA podcast. We are continuing our series of our 12 guests of Christmas so that Steve and I can take a couple of weeks off and catch up on all the beers that we have stacked up in our beer fridge because, holy cow, we got a backlog. So I'm here. Steve is here.
Hell yeah.
That's that's the level of enthusiasm I like to hear. Thank you, Steve. But yes, we are here. As you can tell by a little bit of the audio quality, we're doing this via Zoom because we're talking to everybody, everywhere, around the world.
That's right. Or at least within the U.S., but still a lot of places in the U.S. where we'll be touching tonight from Philly to Florida. And, you know, that's about as far as we go. But,
but according to the VPN, who knows?
Yeah, who knows where I'm at?
Could be Buffalo. Could also be Angola.
You've heard laughing in the background, Adam Zane, and we'll get to him in a minute. But first, we're going to talk about the beers that we're drinking for this episode. So, Adam, if you want to go first, go ahead.
I absolutely would. Hop Nation, Adam, not 412.
You're right. God damn it.
That's one. Put $1 in the jar.
Hop Nation, Adam, not happy hour.
Right.
But I have a beer in front of me. This is from Abjuration. This is their candied sour version 1-12.
Hella.
This is their cotton candy. Guess what? It's good. It's got a very nice kind of a pinkish orangish hue to it. It's super flavorful. It tastes just like cotton candy. It's a treat. That's all there is to it. It's a summertime
I'm going to
treat.
take a moment to give a shout out and give some props to Abjuration. So Abjuration does what I call beer gastronomy. And I love that a lot of their beers, while nobody's perfect, they do an excellent job in nailing the intent on a lot of these beers. And it's fun to drink when you have something in mind and the beer meets the expectations.
Absolutely.
Right? Because there's a lot of times where you're just like, it's supposed to taste like so-and-so that has like 5 different notes. Well, I get hints of 1 or 2. No, Abjuration, those guys, they actually do a good job with a lot of those beers in trying to nail the key elements of some of these reminiscent items. Like you said, cotton candy. Another one is the Skittles sour.
Yes, Skittles sour is good.
Was like, there was like a Nilla wafer type of ale, which was really good. One of my favorites there is the matcha tea ale.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we talk about that one all the time. Yeah, that one's a household favorite. I don't know. I don't know if you're able to get down there during kind of their anniversary period, but they had another one on that was a cherry slushy sour. And it tastes exactly like a cherry slushy from Hills. It was the craziest damn thing. I love it.
With Abjuration, you never walk away wondering.
Right.
You know exactly what you got.
You know what you're getting.
Now, I will say, locally, they probably, when it comes to these dessert or candy styles, they probably do a better job of nailing the profile than most anyone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why we keep coming back to them.
Exactly. But that's not what I'm drinking, though.
What are you drinking, Steve?
What I'm drinking is something it's a bit new. It's got to be new because it's in collaboration with a brewery that isn't open yet.
It's a future beer.
And it's a future beer. But it is the Allegheny City Brewing Company. They have done a collab with Fermata, and Fermata is a brewery that's set to open in Ambridge, I'm assuming in 2022, because they have a pretty big social media presence at the moment for a brewery that isn't open. So I would hope they're coming within the year. But what they've done is they've created the Winter Solstice, which is a Cascadian dark ale with spruce tips, or black IPA for the rest of us who don't say Cascadian dark ale.
For the old heads.
Yeah. Well, Cascadian dark ale is for the old heads. Black IPA is for the marketing. 6.4 on the ABV, and man, you really get, for as dark as the beer is, because it's supposed to be, you get a lot of bright flavor on it.
Really?
Yeah. This beer is fucking awesome.
You don't say that very often, Steve.
Well, just because it's surprising to have something like this, like straight out the box, just brand new for Fermata, just coming out right away, and it's like, it has a flavor profile that's incredibly distinct, and we saw the kind of rise of black IPAs this year. And this one does not taste like any of the other ones I've had this year. So, and with that being said, I mean, Allegheny City knows what they're doing as well. Let's not disparage them any. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they know what
they'll
they're
bring
doing.
the ruckus.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, that's why I'm really happy with this beer, because they did something, and I guess maybe that's why they decided to go Cascadian Dark Ale rather than saying Black IPA, because, like, Adam, I think you'll enjoy this. Hop Nation, Adam. Oh, okay. I think you'll enjoy this because it is not hoppy per se. Okay. There is a bitter back end to it, but it's not hoppy. It's more floral and herbaceous. Okay, I could get behind that. So, all right. Yeah. I mean, I've got a pair sitting in my beer fridge right now, so I'm gonna have to get into it. I know you got some, so don't be afraid to try it, though. I won't. It's towards the top of the list. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Happy hour, though. You have a beer, and what are you drinking tonight?
Well, drinking my own brand. So this is the Blackberry Cobbler. It was one of the featured beers at the Drink the Cookie Table Festival last month. This is a pastry sour, blackberries, graham cracker, etc. So we're kind of mimicking the Blackberry Cobbler flavor. This was a collaboration between us at 412 and Arboretum Trail. So actually, this was one of those opportunities where, Ben from Arboretum, he's getting a lot of notoriety because he's basically, brewing out of his garage and producing cans, like crazy, because he's trying to get his operation going. The guy is a super nice guy, and his equipment is actually pretty good. So for a guy who's brewing out of his garage, he has like really good equipment. I mean, it's somewhat comparable to ours. So, it's not like he's just home brewing. He just happens to have a large garage with good equipment. Credit where credit's due. And this is Arboretum's first sour. So since Can Distro is his full line right now, I'm happy that he's going to have a new revenue stream. So it's good for him, good for us, good relationship cultivation in the community. So, I love when a collab comes together. And this was a nice touch, especially for those who like that berry tartness. This is very berry tart. Nice. Yeah, I'm going to have to go get some of that. Yep, cans are available at 412. You might see my smiling face in the next day or so. Well, good deal. We still have our last keg of the Chocolate Oblivion, so this is also a chance to try to get some of that too. There you go. Yeah, I might be down for a pint or two. Nice. Well, happy hour, you already brought it up. You're talking about 412, and we visited you guys earlier in this year and talked with you about all the changes that came through as 412 transitioned over into like a new ownership and kind of a new ethos and new staffing and all that. Just kind of wanted to catch up for the end of the year, though. Like, how has everything gone with 412? How are things going? What do you see for the future for them? Well, so far, so good. I mean, year one is always a feeling out experience. Fortunately, no major catastrophes or nothing that created issues. So, year one is always the adjustment period, especially, this is not us starting from scratch. This is us, taking over an existing brand. So that has its own challenges in and of itself. But, as things are stabilizing and going steady, at least I feel good at this point. Funny you mentioned all of those things, but yeah, these last couple of weeks, we're just trying to iron out how we want to approach 2022, what we want to have, what we want to do going forward, not just what you see in the tap room or our library of beers, but just in the future, what we want to do. Do we want to look at scenarios where we can have some food offerings, just, kind of spitballing here, but examining ways to kind of enhance what we've got going on. Because don't get me wrong, we're a brewery. So, first and foremost, the focus is the beer. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we provide as good an environment as possible for everyone. In fact, were you guys there when we had the pinball machine?
No, we weren't.
No, you have pinball now?
We have a Guns N' Roses pinball machine.
Oh, geez, you're getting all my money now.
So yeah, that's one of the additions. So here and there, we're just trying to add little things here and there to enhance the atmosphere and environment, because a lot of places have beer, a lot of places have good beer. We want to make sure we give you good beer and then some.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. It's great to hear, and it's good to hear that things are going well. And as you mentioned, like this wasn't just starting a new brewery. In a lot of ways, it was almost rehabilitating an older brand, but it's still like trying to carry on something that was like an OG to the Pittsburgh craft beer scene. So yeah, but that's great that you guys are still innovating and creating new things, and obviously collaborating with the newcomers to the community as well. And Arboretum, for example. So awesome.
Yeah, I will say in general, for the most part, the Pittsburgh brewing community, it's a very good community, very supportive folks. And I mean, you have the usual names that everybody recognizes, and then there are names that people don't recognize who also, contribute a good bit to the community. And it's just a good bunch to work with.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we could say that from this side of the mic as well. Everybody we've worked with and talked with and interviewed and visited has all been great. Haven't had a bad experience yet.
No, not at all. Yeah, it is few and far between that we've had any sort of negative experience with anybody in the brewing community. So yeah, it's a good thing to find on our end as just peddlers of promotion. But yeah, it's definitely cool. So obviously good things are going on in the beer community. Do you have any standout events or beers from 2021 for you?
Oh man, I will say this. The day of Drink the Cookie Table, I hardly drank anything because, wanted to make sure that the situation was under control. There were a number of double-digit ABV beers there. That being said, Mike's Beer Bar and Marino's in Greensburg both had some of the beers from that festival afterwards. So some of the kegs, they got some of the kegs. And I got to try a handful of the beers. So over in Marino's, I got to try some samples of the beers, and some of those beers, wow! There was like this pineapple-y beer from Dewey Beer Company that kind of. I don't know if it's like there's some hints of nostalgia there, but it kind of brought about feelings like from back in the days going to picnics and like you had that pineapple dessert.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what it reminded me of. It had that, really almost like dessert fruit flavor to it that was just like, I'm normally not into like super sweet stuff, but that was one of those things that, there was a bit of nostalgia there that really affected me in a positive way.
It hit the right neuron.
There were some incredible stouts that were there. In fact, there was also, what was that, Barley Popinski?
Oh, okay.
From The Answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get to try that, but I was, I've heard incredible things about it. I'm just like, oh man, but that's okay. That's okay. I don't fall into FOMO. I'm just like, oh man, wish I could try it. Move on, because I probably in my lifetime I've probably consumed at least 15 or 16,000 unique beers. Right. So at this point, if I have FOMO, there's something wrong with me.
I think that came up on last week's episode where we were just like, it's to the point now that we've had enough. So like, we're pretty solid. Nobody can really surprise us, but we still like having really good, well-crafted ones.
Absolutely. There's no fault in enjoying something that's terrific or something that brings you a lot of joy. I do think there's fault if, you put too much stake into something that brings you a marginal amount of joy more than something else, just because, you taste the rarity or something.
Yeah. Don't let it dictate your life.
Correct.
Just sort of let it be just a small part of it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. A beer that's 4.5 stars out of 5 is an excellent beer, but don't lose sight of something that's 4.25, and because you're obsessed with the 4.5.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So, just moving forward, we've been calling you Happy Hour. And so for the new listeners, in case this is your first episode with hearing Adam Zane on our show, he is a professional wrestler, and Happy Hour is his gimmick. He is the beer drinking pro wrestler that everybody wants to be. But one of the things you had planned for 2021, but because of, pandemic still being a pain in the ass, you had a wrestling and beer fest event planned. Unfortunately, it didn't go off, but you are still looking to do that in the future, right?
Correct. Yeah. So it was supposed to be in September, and around early August, I was basically watching the trending numbers on the Delta variant since July. So for about 4 weeks straight, I was watching the numbers, and the numbers went up tenfold. And I was like, oh man, the last thing I need is for my first event to be a super spreader, especially when you consider how tough the breakthrough infections for Delta have been. Now we have to contend with the Omicron variant, which still it's spreading quite a bit, but at the same time, fortunately, not as intense an experience as the Delta variant. But again, I'm trying to be mindful, keeping my ear to the ground and keeping my eyes on the reports, just to kind of stay on top of it. Because again, what I don't want is to put on an event, my first event, to be a super spreader.
Right. Yeah. And just in fairness to like people who don't understand indie pro wrestling culture, like you guys do, you don't necessarily have the backfall of like healthcare. If you're an indie pro wrestler, like you do that. It's like home brewing in a way. Like you can still get paid for it, but
but you do it because you love it.
Actually, a better analogy would be like indie music. Like think about the different levels of indie music. You've got your garage band where you're starting out. You've got your local or regional touring at small venues. Then eventually you're hoping at some point you get to open for someone that's known in a larger region, and then the ultimate goal is to be touring nationally.
Right. But
so, that's kind of how it is with wrestling. It's the same kind of thing. You have your promotions that are strictly, you have your wrestlers that are, mainstays in strictly local promotions. You've got wrestlers that are, that'll travel a decent bit. You have wrestlers who are regional. You have wrestlers who are greater regional, and wrestlers national, and even some international.
Yeah. And that's a great thing about like the culture, but obviously you want to protect those people because it's an independent hobby for them to get out and travel, and they put a lot of the burden on themselves. So
100%. And not to mention, my show actually had a few nationally and even one internationally known wrestlers. So I kind of had to be mindful of, the last thing I want is to affect their livelihood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's good, but hopefully, definitely 2022.
Yes.
we can see that event, because we were very excited for that. It sounded like a great time, and obviously having the idea of like wrestlers pairing with breweries, coming up with their own beers, and then actually watching the matches while drinking the beers. I mean, it sounds like a hell of a time.
I think it would be a fantastic time. And at the same time, I want to scope the event well, so that way, one of my goals when I first was organizing the September event was to make sure that there's enough space, enough comfort, enough opportunity to socially distance, because some of the smaller indie wrestling shows, things tend to get a little packed, and that's one of the things, given the face of pandemic, I don't miss. Doing the much smaller shows that get really packed. So I'm definitely mind you, I'm at the tail end of my wrestling. I probably only have like a few more matches left in me, period. I mean, I've been wrestling 26 years, and the last event that I did was in August, and it was on IWTV. And what happened was, because the cameras were on, I kicked it up a notch. I got concussed. But fortunately, I kind of played it off. I mean, if people were watching the match on IWTV, you can tell when there was a brief period, like for about 10 seconds, where I was kind of in a haze. But I was able to follow through, finish, and had a huge knot on the back of my head.
Oh my God.
So just out of curiosity, what was the move that caused that?
You know what? I'm trying to remember. I think it was just an awkward scenario where someone just basically did sort of an X factor to me, sort of like from behind, pulled me down the back. And I didn't expect them to hold on as long as they did, because usually it's just like a pull, but they pulled me down a little extra hard, so I went down almost head first.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Downfall of having the cameras on.
Yeah.
Right. But
everybody's going hard.
My usual matches are typically in the 7 to 8 minute range, but this one, because of the cameras, curtain to curtain, was 16 minutes. And that was me just kind of playing it up and doing it for the cameras. That's on me. So, I can't blame anybody else for that.
Right on, though. I mean, hey, you still came away with something that you enjoyed. So, yeah.
And it's on the internet forever.
Right. Yeah. You can show it to all your friends. You can show it to everybody and go, "Oh, this is the part where I'm knocked out." But the rest is awesome. Check out the rest.
Oh yeah, no. If nothing else, I got enough wherewithal because there was a double team move. It was a tag team match. So my tag team partner was CZW graduate Frankie Picard, the King of Smokes. So we had this double team maneuver where I had my opponent in like a cradle suplex position. He ends up doing like a sort of like an enziguri to the back of her head when I have her in the suplex position, and then I did a release fisherman. So fortunately, I had enough wherewithal to go through with that.
So, somewhat similar to the Kyle O'Reilly Bobby Fish chasing the dragon, but with like a fisherman, and an enziguri. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I understood some of those words.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, the other thing that you're a part of, Adam, upon all the other things you're a part of, is you're also part of the Pittsburgh Diversity Council. And we've talked at various points throughout the year about the Pittsburgh Diversity Council, because you guys have been making waves and making yourselves, very apparent within the community with like can releases and collaborations and education and different things like that. Do you can you give us a little insight into what 2022 might look like for the Diversity Council?
Sure. So 2021, the main project that started coming to fruition was the Chinos Beer Project. So the idea was to highlight women in the beer industry at any of these places that actually did Chinos beer. And portion of the proceeds goes to a charity that focuses on women or cis or those who identify as women. The idea is, just to kind of bring it all together and point out that, hey, we should not discount women in the industry in any way, because the first time we had Sydney on Hop Nation, she gave us a little bit of schooling.
Right.
So that's the kind of thing that we don't want that to seem like such a rare scenario or make it look like it's uncommon simply because that's a narrative. No, we don't want such narratives. Right. Beer is for everyone of age to enjoy. Beer knowledge is for anyone to acquire. Our upcoming projects in 2022, so we expect to continue with Chinos beer. We also are looking at another avenue in terms of where Chinos beer was to raise awareness. We're looking at more celebratory scenarios. Like, for example, we are going to have beer celebrating ethnicities or ethnic cuisines, ethnic culture, things like that, because, we want to make sure that while awareness is important, but we're not exclusively about awareness. We also want to, spread ourselves out in terms of, what avenues we can promote. Celebration is great because, we don't want to be pigeonholed into just awareness. We want to make sure that we're also getting involved in more positive endeavors instead of shedding light on negative situations.
Awesome. I mean, anybody who's familiar with like Western Pennsylvania knows that we're constantly having like Greek food festivals and other kind of like church-based food festivals that are around some of the more European ethnicities. But we do have a lot of food trucks in the area as well that have representative of different ethnic cultures. So like if you can pair that with a beer that goes with those sensibilities, again, that's something that's a good way to celebrate, I think.
Exactly. I mean, what's the big knock from outsiders on Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh has no diversity. That's, a common thing that I hear. And, it doesn't have the level of diversity that a major metropolitan city has, because Pittsburgh is really a small city. It's not going to be a New York, LA, Chicago, Atlanta, Houston. That's just the reality of it. Pittsburgh is not made to be that scale. Right. But that being said, it's not like, everybody in Pittsburgh is only Polish and German.
Right.
That's kind of different. So, we're trying to kind of point out that, hey, there's more to Pittsburgh than just Polish and German.
I mean, and that's the thing is like, I think we make a lot of noise with our city because of like sports championships. And obviously we have great beer and we have a lot of good things that come out of Pittsburgh, but like people forget, we don't even have 500,000 fucking people that live here. So
right.
like chill out.
We're punching above our weight.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we still have, great communities and we still have a lot of good things going on in the city. So yeah. So celebrate them as you can and where you can. But
yeah. Exactly.
Sounds great. Well, Adam, thanks for joining us. Happy hour.
Say, I'm going to be here all episode.
I know you can stay here, Hop Nation, Adam, but happy hour. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. In 2022. If there's any last thoughts that you had, anything that you wanted to share with the people, something you're excited for in 2022.
Shout outs. Where can we get your beer?
Yeah.
So right now, our beer is only available in the tap room. 2022, we might look at distribution plans, but we've been doing well enough with moving beer in the tap room that we haven't seriously entertained distro. I will say this: shout out to Mike's Beer Bar. That's a place where you may find our beers because we have a good relationship with them. Mike's a great guy, and we're happy to send beer over there, especially since they're on the north side with us.
Oh yeah,
I could say I've been at Mike's a few times and looked in the coolers like, oh shit, they got so and so, or how'd they get that?
Oh yeah, it's a great spot to try a lot of different local beers, and Mike is an avid supporter of the Pittsburgh beer community.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I was there over the summer and he had Arboretum Trail like on tap. So yeah, he's obviously Mike is in the know. We've been there, we've talked to him. He loves the city and like loves what he's doing with that.
And
place.
In fact, he was one of the sponsors of the Drink the Cookie Table Festival.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would explain why he had the lead on getting some of those kegs. But that being said, Mike, a huge supporter of the local craft beer community, and I highly recommend if you want to try as many local beers on draft as possible, that's the place to go.
Yeah.
But as far as our products, we are now back to regular production schedule. So we currently have 8 of our own beers on tap, and we have a couple of beers available in cans to go. One of them being that Blackberry Cobbler.
Nice. And why don't you just give out your social medias for everybody who can follow you? 412, your personal, whatever.
Sure. So you can find 412 Brewery on Instagram. That is our most active social media. So definitely you can find them on social media. As far as finding me on Instagram, sure, I exist on Instagram. I exist probably more to be tagged by the wrestling and the beer community, because an almost 50-year-old like me struggles a little bit with Instagram and the scope of how to use it. But you can find me on Instagram at Wrestler Happy Hour. On Facebook, I'm Adam Zane, and also a Wrestler Happy Hour. But yeah, by all means, feel free to reach out. I mean, I usually respond to every message sent to me. So I usually respond within 24 hours. So if you have any questions about the brewery, about wrestling, or just want to shoot the shit, absolutely, feel free to reach out.
Awesome.
Right on.
Well, happy holidays to you, Happy Hour. Huh?
Same to you guys.
Well, thank you.
Spread that
Appreciate
holiday cheer.
Yeah. So thanks for hanging out with us for a little bit. And like I said, I'm sure we'll check in with you at some point in 2022, and hopefully we'll see you at a nice wrestling and beer fest.
Certainly.
I'll bring the signs. I already got signs planned.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Right back at you. So welcome back, everybody. This is still the Hop Nation USA podcast, and we are still enjoying our 12 guests of Christmas. It is time for a fresh guest, a new guest, but not a brand new guest. She's back. It's Lauren from the Beard Owl podcast. Lauren, welcome back.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be back.
Yeah, we are happy to have you as well. It has been way too long.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to talk beers. So we've already talked about the beer that we've had. What beer are you drinking?
Well, I am actually drinking a beer that is not local to where I am at all. It's much more local to where you are. It is the Victory Merry Monkey.
Very nice.
Good.
Yes. Yeah. You know, it's a Belgian style ale with cranberry, orange peel, cinnamon, and nutmeg. And this is going in my Christmas Day lineup of beer. I have come into the possession of some Mad Elf from Trogs, and nice. I have my Victory Merry Monkey, and I also have a bottle of Christmas Bomb from Prairie Artisan Ales. Yeah, but Christmas Day is going to be awesome.
Yeah, you're going to have yourself a day.
I am.
I don't think any of those beers are under 10%. So.
You're correct. This one, this is 10. Mad Elf is 11, and the Christmas Bomb is 13.
Yeah.
Well, Godspeed.
These are things I know because I go down those same roads.
Oh, you don't want to go down that road. That road leads to the pet cemetery. Yeah, it's
brown spoiled. Can't go that way. Yeah. The Merry Monkey came out I think 2 years ago or something like that, and it was like, you know, it's not Victory's answer to Mad Elf, but it's comparable. It has, you know, obviously that big Belgian flavor on it, but it's different. It's less cherry focused, and it's more bright and orange and citrus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good.
As I say, it's something that you can drink both of them together.
Yeah,
or you know, one after the other.
Yeah. I'm not suggesting you just get a big old stein and mix them both together.
I am.
Although
they're comparable styles. Why would you? Yeah, make the blend.
Well, it's all gonna go together in your stomach anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's the logic, right?
Mm-hmm. I'll buy into that.
I would do it. Maybe that's what I'll do for Christmas.
I might now. I have enough of both to do it without like sacrificing. You know, if I just had one left of each, then I would not do it, but I might do it.
Mm-hmm.
See, now I'm imagining Steve just sitting by the glow of the Christmas tree with both bottles. He's like, nobody could tell me what to do.
Mad scientist mode.
Do as I please.
I'm my own man. So, Laura, tell us about what's going on down in Florida in the craft beer scene. What's new? What's happening? What's the shakes?
Well, I will tell you what. It seems like new breweries keep popping up like weeds here. And I guess I'm just gonna. Jacksonville is huge, right? Jacksonville is the largest city in the contiguous United States by area. So you could drive around all day and not actually leave Jacksonville. So there are parts of Jacksonville that I don't get to very often. And there's an area just outside of downtown called San Marco. And I went there with a friend of mine earlier this year. And there are 3 breweries all on the same street. There is Strings Sports Brewery, Main and Six, and Hyperion. And 3 more different breweries you could not find. And and like, seriously, we parked the car and we just walked, we could hit all of them in one, little stretch there. And so Strings Sports Brewery, these are all kind of new to me this year. They've all been around for a couple of years, but Strings was my favorite of those 3 because it was big and wide and open. And I liked the sports vibe of the whole thing. It had a very like sports bar vibe with some really good craft beer, and all the beers are named after like local Jacksonville sports heroes, which, I use the term Jacksonville sports hero very, very loosely, but, but yeah, they're named after, those kind of things. And it's a fun place with a really fun vibe. And so then we left that, and then we went to Main and Six, which was super hipster. I was like flipping a complete switch, but they did have a fun IPA with ghost pepper.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
And it was something. I did a flight there because I knew I couldn't commit to like drinking an entire of this ghost pepper IPA, but it's one of those things. It's real good going, you take your sip and you're like, oh yeah, that has a little bit of spice to it. Then like 10 seconds later, your mouth is on fire.
Oh, well, okay.
Got that fuse delay.
Yeah. It was like, whoa. Oh, okay. So, fans of spicy things would definitely really enjoy that sort of, situation. And then you go down the street a little bit more and you end up at Hyperion, which is, the vibe is somewhere in between the two, that one I felt kind of comfortable at. I'm not a hipster, right? So I felt weird at this hipster brewery that like those aren't really my scene. So we did that. And then we ended up walking back to Strings and we got a pretzel with beer cheese.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah. I love when breweries have good food, and there's a brewery. I might have talked about this the last time I was here with you guys, but there's a brewery. It's in Atlantic Beach, Florida. So it's just like a little closer to the ocean, just outside the Jacksonville city limits, called Rev, REVE. And they just do a bunch of weird stuff, primarily IPAs, sours, and stouts. But it's the guy who started it. He was the brewmaster at one of the kind of more mainstream breweries that we have here. And he wanted to experiment. So he opened another brewery, right?
Okay, makes sense.
And like the whole theme there is Alice in Wonderland, down the rabbit hole type stuff.
Oh,
and
all right.
Yeah. I mean, their merch is super cool. And this year they were in a little strip mall, like a very, very small beach strip mall, right? Mm-hmm. And they were right next door to a Domino's Pizza. And so you have this like weird Alice in Wonderland, but dark kind of like speakeasy Alice in Wonderland vibe right next to a Domino's Pizza. Well, the Domino's ended up going out of business and Rev ended up taking over, that part of the strip mall. So they expanded the brewery and they started making their own pizza.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah. And it is like artisanal pizza to go with this really weird craft beer. So they turned themselves from just like a dark hole in the wall, but really, really cool brewery to this place where you could go have really cool, weird beer and have really cool, weird pizza.
That's awesome.
It's super dope. And then something else closed in that strip mall, and it's not, I don't believe it's run by the same people, but there's a distillery there now too. And you can walk back and forth.
That's just turning into one-stop shopping.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, what else do you need? You park the car and you're just like, okay, I got whiskey, pizza, and beer. Like, what more do you need?
That's a weekend right there.
Right,
You're
exactly.
The artisanal strip mall.
Yeah, it's the artisanal strip mall. They should really just change the name of that strip mall. Yeah.
What that blows my mind that a pizza joint could close down next to a brewery. I mean, I know it's a Domino's, but still.
Yeah.
How do you not have enough business?
I don't know. It's Domino's.
They probably just did business bad. It's not that they didn't have enough business. They just did it wrong.
Yeah. I'll buy that. But yeah, I mean, Domino's loss is everybody else's gain, because the place was cool to begin with, and it's just become, exponentially cooler. So if I had to, like, when I inexplicably get messages from people, hey, I'm going to be in Jacksonville, like, what's a cool brewery to go to? And I'm like, okay. My number one answer is always Rev. And people are like, well, where is that in location to the stadium? And I said, not close at all. Like, you're talking, you got to drive at least 40 minutes.
But if it's worth it, it's worth it.
Where it's worth it, But yeah, so I mean, as far as breweries and stuff go, that's kind of what I hit the most this past year. An honorable mention, of course, to my buddies at Engine 15 and Southern Swells in Jacksonville Beach, because they've both been around for a while and, always put out really good stuff.
I remember us talking about Engine 15 last time we had you on the show.
Yeah, you definitely brought them up.
I like them. They have good pretzels and beer cheese too.
Oh, that's good. It's always good to hear that you can find good pretzels and beer cheese somewhere.
I love beer cheese. Have you ever tried to make beer cheese?
No, not yet.
Actually.
It's like science a little bit, but I got to get the ratio of beer to cheese right. But if you do it right, it's
I might have myself a Christmas project.
Yeah, do it. Report back.
I mean, we're to the point now that there exists cheese with beer in it, and then you can revert it to its own beer cheese if you really want to. Because there's Mad Elf beer cheese that's up here.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Yeah. Mad Elf.
Actually, Trogs has 3 varieties, I think?
This year they have 3 now. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think they put out, was it a Grand Cacao Cheddar?
I believe that is correct. And don't ask me what the third one was.
Something else. I think it was something from like their wild fermentations. But
because the Wild Elf is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I will actually be having a bottle of the Wild Elf on the episode of the Beard Owl podcast that comes out on New Year's Eve, because it has a cork in it.
Nice. And that is a fantastic segue into the next question. How's the podcast going?
Oh, super awesome. Thank you for asking. 2021 has been a crazy and exciting and wonderful year for the Beard Owl podcast. So let's see. In September, I want to say we became an affiliate in the Odd Pods Media Network, which is super cool because we have a bunch of other podcasts that are like, the podcast community as a whole is kind of great, but like now we're on a team, like we've got like we've got pals that I'm like, I need to make this change to my logo, but I don't know how to do this. I have somebody that I can ask to do. It's just built-in support for all the stuff that I don't know how to do, and so that's been a whole lot of fun. And let's see, 2021 we did our March weirdness brackets, we did a Weird Al trivia palooza, which was a whole lot of fun, and we're actually starting 2022, which is just weird to say. I keep wanting to say 2021, with an episode that I'm in the process of kind of cobbling together still. Is I'm put out a call on Twitter for Weird Al fans under the age of 25, thinking I was going to get like a bunch of Gen Zers that happen to follow me on Twitter. Because most of the people that I talked to on my show and like myself were, around and appreciating Weird Al while he was like putting new music out and stuff, like came into his music in the 80s or the 90s. Right. And so I was like, I just wanted a younger perspective on it. Well, I had people offering up their actual children to speak, like legitimate children. I talked to an 8-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 24-year-old. And so I'm putting this episode together in chronological order. So like the Weird Al discussion matures as we go. But hot damn, this 8-year-old that I talked to was one of the best human interactions I think I've had in a long, long time. He was just so into it and so positive. And I am so excited for this episode to come out because like, who doesn't like when kids are talking about stuff that they love with somebody who is like not talking down to them and is just listening to them the way that, we all like talk to each other, something happens and something magical really, really happens. And like, I got so much good stuff out of these younger people that I was like, oh my God. So I haven't actually started this yet, but I think I want to start like a second podcast where I interview kids about stuff that they like. So I can just keep having conversations like that. I was like, I don't care what it is. You like running, you like soccer, you like Minecraft. Like, I don't care. Talk to me.
And you have like an education background anyway. So you're used to like not talking down to kids and treating kids as lesser than, as like sometimes they get treated that way. So yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense that you're able to connect with them that way. That's cool though.
And that it doesn't hurt that I'm basically a cartoon. So
but I think that makes a lot of sense that you would find like kids of that age who are fans of Weird Al, because even though I don't have kids myself, I have friends who have kids, and I've heard enough stories about how sick they get of listening to what kids music is, listening to like Baby Shark and shit. But you can put on Weird Al and you like it because you grew up with it, and then your kid can enjoy it because it's something for, it's cartoonish and fun and, has fun noises for them to enjoy as well. It's not it kind of bridges that gap of between Baby Shark and Judas Priest.
Wow. Gosh, if Weird Al's listening, there's a new tagline for you.
Yeah.
I bridge the gap between Baby Shark and Judas Priest.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the magic of Weird Al. Like, he exists for everyone, and he's such a great role model for kids too, because of how like nice and kind he is. I had some of the younger ones even say to me, like, I asked them, like, what's your favorite thing about Weird Al? And he's just so nice, and it makes me want to be nice. And I'm like, yeah, it does. Yeah, it
does. He's kind of like Mr. Rogers with an accordion.
Yeah.
A slightly subversive Mr. Rogers with an accordion.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, just a lot of fun for everybody. So yeah, he has a firm legacy for, far longer than, we know yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool though. Did you have any beers on the show that stick out to you from the past year, that something you had that really surprised you?
Oh, yes, actually. I love a good brewery collab. Okay. And I had a beer on the show called Power Hour from it was put out by Ology Brewing Company in Tampa.
Okay.
But it was done in a collaboration with my buddies over at Southern Swells in Jacksonville Beach. And it was a hazy double IPA, right? And I was like, okay, we all know what that's all about. Like, they are what they are. But this one was so incredible. Like, it was so juicy that I was like, oh my God, it was more refreshing than anything else, which surprised me because you never know what you're going to get with a brewery collab either. Like, is it going to taste more like one or the other? Like, whose spin is it going to be? And I think the reason I was so surprised by this is because I know Southern Swell's beer so well, and hazy IPAs are their flagship thing that they do. This tasted like Southern Swells, but better. And I think it's because of that additional perspective and like some of the other voices in the room. I could hear them when I drank this. If that makes sense.
It does make sense.
I get it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes when one brewery is allowed to get on the equipment of another brewery, and so sometimes, equipment is different, and, you have access to other things that you don't normally have. You get to play a little bit more. So.
Yeah.
And not only that, sometimes when you're brewing something, you might have a question that, if you're brewing by yourself, you don't have the answer. Mm-hmm. But the other brewery or the brewer might have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this beer is art, just like anything else is. And art does not and should not and cannot happen in a vacuum. And so I think like that beer was a perfect example of that, is when other perspectives came into it. It's like the whole was greater than the sum of its parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's always what you hope for when you do collabs.
Yeah, and this collab totally worked.
Yeah, when you really hope that putting two breweries together doesn't make a beer worse. That would be terrible.
I know. I mean, I've tasted that.
Me too.
It happens. But
we won't mention any names.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens when we mix this merry monkey with the mad elf.
Yeah.
that is against manufacturer's intended use.
I know. What we call it, the merry mad monkey elf or the merry mad elf monkey?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. You just call it Mad Monkey. You don't have to go even that far. Yeah.
Yeah. I like elf monkey though.
That's it, yeah.
God, now I'm picturing an elf monkey. Just stop. He's a little hat.
I'm sure he does. He's a little hat, and he's not great at painting, but he tries.
He tries so hard.
Painting.
He's wearing a little diaper.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
just imagining just this 20-second snippet of conversation out of context.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And of course, that's the clip that's going to get shared to promote the episode. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. If I remember to do things like that.
I know.
So you touched a little bit on like what you have coming up for the show in 2022. Is there anything outside of the show that you're excited for? Like, do you have tickets to a Weird Al show coming up? Is there any breweries opening that you're excited for? Yes,
I have second row VIP tickets to 2 Weird Al concerts coming up in 2022. Yeah, he's coming to my hometown in May. So that's where my whole family is. And my dad actually got the 4 of us, which is good. This is going to be the first thing that like my parents and brother and I have done, is just the 4 of us in a long time, like since my brother got married and had a kid and like all this, that, and the other. So I'm looking forward to it for that reason. And also a second row seats and getting to meet Weird Al is, also amazing. But I'm doing the same thing with 3 buddies of mine in October here when he comes locally. So I get to see this tour twice, which is exciting because it is the unfortunate return of the ridiculously ill-advised self-indulgent vanity tour, which means he's doing yeah, it's in the noggin. He's doing like original songs and like deep cuts and stuff. And so no 2 shows on this tour are going to be exactly the same. So
he's doing the Neil Young.
Yeah. It's gonna be different. And even when he's in the same city 2 nights in a row, he said 100% different set lists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
that's the old Neil Young. I'll do what I want.
Yeah, I'm super pumped for that. And let's see, as far as beer goes in 2022, I'm pretty much just excited to see what happens. Like I said, breweries keep popping up in Jacksonville like nobody's business. I'm saying it here right now. New Year's resolution for myself is to actually make it to a brewery that started out in Jacksonville Beach, but then moved from the beach to downtown. And I am yet to go to their location downtown. I'm going to do that. It's called Ruby Beach Brewing, which is what Jacksonville Beach used to be called before it became Jacksonville Beach. It was Ruby Beach.
Okay.
And so they moved downtown, and an acquaintance of mine is actually the like the bar manager there.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep saying like, yeah, buddy, I'm going to go see it. And I haven't made it because I don't like going downtown because I have to go over a big giant bridge that is not one of my.
You're talking to people from Pittsburgh. We totally understand bridges stopping people.
Yeah.
Bridges and tunnels.
It's stopping me. It's stopping me a little bit. But yeah, so I fully intend to go. I've had Ruby Beach beer because they distribute to a lot of the different tap rooms and stuff that I go to, over here. So I know the beer is good, but I want to have some stuff that they're not, distributing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's always better stuff in the home tap room.
I know.
We're gonna hold you to that New Year's resolution. We're gonna check in.
I don't generally make New Year's resolutions. That is resolution number 2. Resolution number 1 is to learn how to play the accordion.
Oh,
I like that.
There you go.
Yeah. And so that is fully contingent on my mom getting the accordion that I have repaired at a repair shop in Pennsylvania, because nobody in Florida is going to know how to repair an accordion. So it's in polka country where it belongs to get fixed. And
sense.
So it needs to come back to me.
If I was looking to get a horse carriage repaired, I would send it to Lancaster. So
Exactly.
if I'm looking, that math checks out.
Yeah. So I get it. So now I just need to. My parents got me a how to play the accordion book and an accordion song book for my birthday, but I don't have the accordion yet. So I can't really put them to use. But I know how to play, keyboards and stuff. So I don't think the learning curve is going to be all that steep. But who knows?
Who knows?
But that's I fully intend to learn.
Awesome. Well, hey, hopefully everybody else can follow along with your New Year's resolutions and listen to your show, and hopefully you'll come on one day and say, I made it to Ruby Beach. Check out the song I got.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Have me on. I'll play accordion on the show while drinking a Ruby Beach beer and a growler that I got at the tap room. Oh, Lord, help me.
But with that in mind, though, why don't you just take the time to plug your show, let everybody know where they can find it, and when it releases on the week, whatever.
Yeah. So this past year, another 2021 thing is I actually made us a website. So you can go to beardowlpodcast.com and there you can listen to the show right there. But it also has links to all the podcatchers to, listen to it wherever you'd like. And we put shows out every Friday. Generally, our schedule is regular episodes with me and my brother, one Friday. And then the Friday after that is what I call my very special episodes, where I have guests on to talk about whatever Weird Al topic they would like to talk about. So we kind of flip back and forth because my brother has a small child and he doesn't have nearly as much time as I do. But yeah, new episodes every Friday of the Beard Al podcast. And yeah, we're there, we're on all the socials, Beard Al podcast. So, and we're not that hard to find.
Right on.
So listen every Friday, as you should.
Yes. Make that your New Year's resolution.
Cool. Well, thanks again for coming on the show, Lauren, and thanks for sharing, your kind of year in review for 2021 with beer and Weird Al. Hopefully next time you're on the show, maybe you can play your accordion for us, and
maybe
it doesn't have to be good.
No, I mean, if I can make it make some noise that doesn't sound like, I don't know, like a rhino fart, it'll be fine.
Sure, yeah.
So you'll be way ahead of us.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't even have accordions, so. But happy holidays to you, and enjoy 2022. And enjoy your concerts and enjoy everything else that Jacksonville has to offer as far as beer. And, if you can prod the people that in PA, maybe you can get some beer cheese made with Mad Elf down to you.
Oh, well, I'll be there soon. I'm going to try and scoop some up myself, but literally scoop it up.
You have to go to the giant train of grocery stores. That's where they hang out.
I think I can do that. I honestly think I can do that. But yes, thank you guys for having me. And I wish you all the best this holiday season and in the entire year ahead as well.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Just glad you were able to come on our show.
Yeah.
It's been too long.
I know. Well, cool. I'm always here. So.
All right. With that, we're going to get another beer ready and we will be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Hop Nation USA podcast. We are continuing our 12 guests of Christmas, and we've got two friends in the podcast world have been gracious enough to join us yet again here on the show. We have Chumpzilla, and we have Capt and Cash from the Hops and Box Office Flops podcast. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Great to be back.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hello.
It's been too long. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It has been too long since we've had you guys on the show and talking shop.
I am always ready to talk beer and or movies and or beer and drink beer. So net win, really.
Well, now you got your chance. You can talk about beer. And you can tell us what you're drinking right now.
All right. My favorite sort of seasonal Christmas beers, I guess if you call it that, which is the 21st Amendment Brewing's Fireside Chat.
Yes.
It's a little higher octane, which is right up my alley. It's a nice, it's an English style ale, and it's sort of a dark red, almost brown, and it's got some nice spices. And it just, when it's dark and it's cold outside, this just feels warming, even drinking it cold. I wish I knew how to explain that.
No, that makes sense. I mean, that beer has been around for fucking ever, as far as I remember drinking. So.
But it's been around for a good reason. It's good.
Oh yeah. Well, it's good. And 21st Amendment has made a solid portfolio of beers, and yes, that's definitely a nice winter warmer, as a lot of people would call.
It makes FDR proud.
Gotta make FDR proud. And whenever I drink it, I always get one of those extended cigarette smokers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a wheelchair.
Yes. Well, I mean,
you gotta keep that on the DL.
And you get yourself a vaccine. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Chumpzilla, what about yourself? What do you got going on over there in your glass?
Okay, well, I'm here to stump for two local Georgia beers.
Stump away.
Yeah, I'll start off with this almond milk stout from Sweetwater Brewing out of Atlanta. I guess it's a vegan take on a milk stout. It's got all the standard stout notes you'd expect. It's malty, it's roasted, it's got some chocolate to it. One thing that does surprise me a bit with it is that the mouthfeel is a little bit lighter than you would expect. And I think that's because it doesn't have any dairy in it. Mm-hmm. That's my theory. It's because the nut milk just doesn't add some of that texture that you get out of a normal milk stout, but it's still got a decent flavor. And at 5.4 ABV, it's not going to kill you. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of an interesting, hey, I'm having a stout. It's a little creamy, but not heavy. So it's worth trying. It's a seasonal beer. So check it out this winter. And then we just talked about this on my Christmas podcast, Christmas movie podcast that we did over at Hops and Box Office Flops. And we were talking about Home Sweet Home Alone, aka Home Alone 6.
I dodged that bullet, thank God.
There's a 6?
Yep. Direct to streaming on Disney Plus. Excuse me. Oh
boy.
And for that, I paired that bad movie with a much better beer, the Big Shanty Graham Cracker Stout, and that's from Burnt Hickory Brewing out of Kennesaw, Georgia. So that's an extremely Chumpzilla local. It's a year-round beer, but a Graham Cracker Stout sounds wintry. It feels kind of festive and Christmas-like. And at 9% ABV, it will definitely help you get through Home Sweet Home Alone, like the worst movie title ever. And I actually like this one because it's got a little bit more flavor to it. You definitely get some of that graham cracker, it's almost like cinnamon kind of allspice flavor to it, but it's really, really smooth and it doesn't taste boozy.
And to Captain Cash's point, this is the kind of beer that even drinking it out of a cold glass, standing around outdoors, it will warm you up. It'll tickle something in your soul. It's probably the hooch, but again, it's really smooth and you don't taste it. Like there's no burn. It doesn't taste boozy at all. It's a good winter beer. And if you're watching a bad movie, it will definitely help out.
Nice. It sounds sneaky.
Oh yeah, it definitely. Because again, you're not tasting it. It's pleasant. Yeah, you got to watch out. So cheers, gentlemen.
Sneaky like a McAllister or a Wet Bandit. No. I don't really know who's sneaky here. No. I didn't have to watch that movie. Circumstances kept me away from that, and it was a kind of a Christmas miracle. It felt like.
It was.
Good for you, lucky. I don't think we've had many almond milk stouts up in our area, but a lot of people have done the oat milk, and those usually work out pretty well as far as like you're talking about like the thinner mouthfeel on the almond one. I think the oat milk ones still come out pretty thick because I mean oats already go into a mash, sometimes. So just throwing oat milk in, they work out good.
And like what really struck me when I drank it, I guess I was expecting to taste the almonds. And you really don't. It doesn't have much of a nutty taste. And then I was reading some reviews online about it, and other folks had noted that as well, that it's an almond milk stout, not an almond stout.
Right.
So you're not going to get bowled over by any nut flavor. But yeah, it was kind of cool. And I think this is their first year doing it. So it was something new to try.
Right on.
Yep.
Yeah. Plus, depending on what almond milk they're using, that was probably already goosed with a bunch of vanilla. So
yeah. No, I think there is a little bit of vanilla in there. It's that's one thing that I don't have a very refined palate, so I think a lot of that stuff gets wasted on me. I'm not going to lie, but I blame that on years of Steel Reserve consumption. So
never blame the Steel Reserve.
I don't accept that.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, it's probably done things in my palate and or frontal lobe.
Well, I can agree with the frontal lobe part of that, but I'm just saying, as a person who still drinks Steel Reserve, that's not an excuse to have a bad palate.
Well, hey, since we're talking about it, how do you gentlemen feel about the branding change? We've gone to the silver can away from the black can. And I feel like that was the old style as well. I remember in college, it was always the silver can.
I seem to remember that as well. Yeah.
We can still get silver cans here. But it's always the fruity ones that are in the black cans now. I think we can still get regular 211 in the silver can.
Silver can. See, down here in Georgia, they had these black cans with a red 211 logo on the front, right? And that was the difference. You could get silver with 6%, and then the black can was the 8.1.
Yeah.
But growing up in Ohio, which is much closer to where you all are at, it was always just silver, and you just had to check the number to make sure you were getting the diesel and not the light.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because Molson Coors was killing off a bunch of brands or whatever, they might have consolidated it down to where they're only doing 8s across the board, because all that fruity shit is all 8. So I don't know.
That makes sense. They might have phased out the 6.
Yeah, they also had a higher one, I believe. That it was like is either higher or it was a Canadian only, but it was like Steel Reserve 211 Triple X or some shit like that.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm sure it was probably some sort of rebranding of the Molson Triple X, right? There's probably some brand synergy there.
Right.
So, man, some marketing guy just got his bonus.
Like a Steeler Reserve? Or is it a reserve year?
The Steeliest Reserve.
The Steeliest Reserve. That's it.
The Steeliest McBean.
Oh, I didn't like that joke at all.
I didn't feel great about it, but
I felt bad saying it, but I still said it. So that's where we're at.
Sometimes you just have to commit, for better or worse.
So, we're already talking movies. We're talking a little bit about holiday movies, and I kind of gave you guys the prompt of giving us some beer and movie pairings to get people through the holiday season. So if you have some that you would like to volunteer, whoever wants to go first, go on ahead.
Well, I'm going to cheat real quick here. I'll go first and say that I would definitely pair Steel Reserve with Home Sweet Home Alone. Because I think after about the third tall boy, you'll probably forget most of the movie, which is for the better. So, that movie is just unbelievably bad. And it tries so hard to be like a soft reboot of the first movie.
Yeah.
And it just fails miserably. And there's a reason why Macaulay Culkin and Chris Columbus wanted nothing to do with it. And after watching it, I completely see why.
You're looking for, as I understand it, you're looking for less a drink and more an anesthesia.
Yeah.
But the Twilight anesthesia, where it doesn't completely knock you out. It just, you stop caring and forget about it.
Any kind of blackout time travel drink.
Exactly. Yeah. That's really all you're aiming for when dealing with that movie.
Get me to a malaise.
Exactly. Because I don't even think kids will like it. Like, I've seen movies that are really dumb. And I'm like, oh, kids are going to love this. No, that movie, I don't think kids are going to like it. But anyway.
I saw the trailer for it and it just looked fucking god awful. Like, it's British kid and fucking... Who is it?
To be fair,
Ellie Kemper is one of the.
Oh no!
Yep.
One of the wet bandits. Yeah.
Well, no. So I mean, I'll just jump into it real quick here. The problem the movie has is that they're not really the bad guys. The kid's kind of the bad guy, but not really. And regardless, you never really root for any of the characters. You don't really care. It's just like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel here. I don't like any of these people, and I really don't care what happens to them.
You're just hoping at some point, like in the third act, somebody just comes in and starts mollywopping all of them.
Yeah, like you know, at some point, something funny's got to happen, right? No, it really doesn't.
As it turns out,
no. And then it just ends. But yeah, it's just bizarre. And it just ends. Yeah. It really does.
So is it based in modern times? Because you said it was a reboot, or did they try to go back into the early 90s as well?
No. Very topical. Here, just because we're waxing on this so deep, here's one of the biggest like plot points of the movie that doesn't land. It's supposed to be a joke. Not a plot point, but it's a script element. The Ellie Kemper's husband, I can't think of the guy's name now, but he was the normal guy from Deadpool 2.
Okay.
That wants to join the team.
I don't know
Sugar Bear
his name, but
I can't think of that actor's name now. But anyway, the whole plot revolves around him not being able to get a job and being out of work, and it's because he's a data analyst or something, and his job's been replaced by the cloud, and they make tons of like cloud jokes, but none of it is funny. It's just like basically they decided to go with buzzword bingo to make the movie topical so the kids would hashtag like it. And it's just like, who wrote this crap? And
that never dates a movie very quickly.
Yeah, and the guys that wrote it both worked on SNL. I can't think of the writer's name now, but he's the guy that plays Don Jr. in the SNL skits. Mikey something.
Mikey Day?
Mikey Day, yeah. He co-wrote it with some dude that used to write for College Humor, I think. So, I mean, there are a lot of like funny people and other like, I'd say like B-level comedians in it. Chris Parnell shows up for 5 minutes.
Oh no.
Literally 5 minutes. There's a couple other guys you'll recognize. You're like, oh, that guy. And it's like, okay, so these people they've done stuff. I've seen them be funny before, but none of it sticks together. And literally the movie could have been solved if the dad had just gotten on LinkedIn and tried to get a job.
Right.
Because very early in the film, his wife's like, hey, you should probably think about getting a job. He's like, well, I applied at IBM. She's like, honey, that was 3 months ago. And he's just like, oh, shucks. Like, dude, come on. You got kids. You're going to lose your house. Like, just get a job. Like, that's literally the inciting incident in the movie is that the dad's a bum.
Nobody wants to
so
work.
Again, it's not very heartwarming either. It's not like you're pulling for him. He seems like a complete idiot. So this is a lot of talk about Home Sweet Home Alone, guys. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's a good warning to everybody else.
Yeah.
So let me drag you out of that terrible Christmas movie.
Please do.
Into another more recent, but in my opinion, much better Christmas movie, also intended for children on Netflix is Klaus. Which I don't know if you've had a chance to check that out.
No, what is the story behind that?
So it's very much like it's not a modern retelling of Santa because it's set indeterminately sometime in what appears to be either the 18 or 1900s. And there's this ne'er-do-well, lackluster son of a postmaster who, for whatever reason, is a big deal. And he sends his son to a place called Smeerensburg, which I have looked up and is an actual real place somewhere, I think, in Norway. And there he's responsible for delivering letters. And it turns into this thing where if he can deliver X number of letters in a certain amount of time, he can leave this terrible town. And he meets this woodmaker, Klaus, who turns out has all these different toys. So he creates a scheme around the village where he delivers the letters for the children to Klaus, who then delivers the packages, creating sort of a post office that functions. And it turns into the story of Santa Claus, more or less.
So at what point does he have to play the devil in a game of curling for his soul?
Yeah.
I feel like that's where this is going.
Hang on. I feel like being someone from Georgia, I feel like you're conflating Santa and Satan and the story of the devil went down to Georgia with the story of just Santa Claus. Two different things.
Well, that is Santa's sleigh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But we should definitely talk about that. But this Santa Claus is portrayed by J.K. Simmons. So as much as I appreciate Goldberg, this is the superior Santa Claus.
No, that's fair.
And the really cool thing about it is it's all hand-drawn animation, but it's animated in such a way that it almost looks like it was computer generated. Like I wish I knew how to explain it, but it's a really good movie. It's on Netflix, and so it's free, more or less. And it is worth your time. And you don't necessarily have to drink to enjoy it, but if you do,
yeah, look at this cast listing here. I just pulled it up. You got Jason Schwartzman, Norm Macdonald.
Yes, that's the post person.
Joan Cusack, J.K. Simmons, and Rashida Jones.
Yeah, all right. I'd watch a movie with that cast.
I know those people.
And if you have to drink while you do it, I recommend the 2 Xmas Ale by Southern Tier Brewing.
Yeah,
not a bad Christmas beer.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I haven't had any of that yet this year. I need to change that.
It's around. You live close enough to, a brewery that would have the Southern Tier name on it.
Any distributor.
Any
Literally
distributor.
Any beer distributor would probably do it for you.
Yes. Yeah. So you said it kind of had an animation style. Was it kind of similar to A Scanner Darkly? Kind of that realm where it was, it was shot live and then.
So no, it's not like it's rotoscoped.
Okay, that was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
this is it. Like
it's very Disney looking. It's like the uncanny valley between the old Disney stuff and the new Disney stuff.
Yeah, I don't have a good way to explain it. A lot of it has to do with the lighting and how they light the hand-drawn animation to make it appear more three-dimensional, even though apparently this was all hand-drawn.
Damn. Interesting.
Yeah, this was something that I think took place over years to create.
Right. Yeah.
It was released in 2019.
Yeah. And as movies, as modern Christmas films go, this is the only one that I've seen in, several years where I'm like, this is something I will revisit.
So it'll give you much more of the warm fuzzies as compared to just, I'm going to throw up and this is terrible.
Yes.
That's called the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah.
This is not a Christmas Prince. Or Castle for the Holidays. What is that one? That's the new one.
Who fucking knows?
I thought it was a Christmas Prince 2.
No, we had a Christmas Prince 2, and I also believe there's a Christmas Prince 3, like Royal Baby. I don't know.
Oh, dang.
Oh, no.
Does the baby get the castle?
Eventually that's how royalty works, as I understand it.
Oh, Jesus.
Huh. But I think you were going to talk about another Santa Claus story.
Oh, no. We don't need to talk about Santa's sleigh unless we really want to.
That's okay. There's a whole episode on.
And there's a whole episode on that one. Yeah, Cash. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. We can,
Moving away from the films and getting more back into the beer, was there any like brewery or beer event that you guys went to in 2021 that really stuck out to you? Something that you were really enjoying?
I'm going to tell a sad story about a Christmas Grinch. The last time I visited a brewery, that is, it was pre-pandemic. So no trips this year, no trip last year, which is painful. But it was actually my company Christmas party back in I think it was 2019. Would that have been right? I think that sounds right. We actually did it at the Sweetwater Brewery.
Oh, nice. Right on.
It was super cool. And that was, we sort of knew it was going to be our last Christmas party because the ownership had changed and the new ownership, kind of got rid of a lot of the old stuff in the name of savings, which it was a pretty big blowout. It's a mid-sized company, so it wasn't like insane. But yeah, it was, tens of thousands of dollars to put this on and feed everybody and, have a DJ and all that kind of stuff. But it was a good time. I had a lot of fun. It's a really cool venue to check out if you're ever in Atlanta and you get stuck there. If you're here for a Comic-Con or something like that, checking out Dragon Con. Yeah, I'd swing by there just to grab a pint and check it out. It's a cool little spot. And I know it's kind of a mainstream brewery now, especially in the Southeast. They've gotten pretty big over the years, but it's still a cool vibe. Everybody's super friendly there. And the beers are usually pretty good. They have like their seasonal rotations going through there. And if you get there and you're lucky, they'll even have some like experimental stuff on tap for you to try out that hasn't been released in stores yet. That's cool. Like, I think when we were there ahead of the Christmas party, getting things set up, we were able to taste a couple of IPAs they were working on that they hadn't even released yet for some of their like limited releases and whatnot. So it was pretty cool. It's a neat little tap room to check out.
Nice.
But yeah, I've been a bum though, man. I tell you what, this whole lockdown thing has just really put a cramp on my travel and fun, for the last 2 years. So hopefully 2022 things turn around.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think I drank more beer in 2021 than I drank for the 3 years that preceded it, but I did not go anywhere. So,
oh, sorry.
And maybe those are contributory. But I will say, my palate in the kinds of beers that I have drank, both at your recommendation and as part of the podcast we're a part of, has really sort of gotten a lot more varied.
Yeah, that's good.
Example,
You're expanding horizons.
Exactly.
That's
like
personal growth.
Yeah. Most recently, the thing I loved was Harpoon put out Dunkin' Donuts beers.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I loved those things.
Did you get to try the blueberry matcha?
Oh yeah.
Is that
good?
good?
There's still one of those down in my fridge. So that feels like of the variety of four. There's the Dunkin' Donuts, there's the maple, there's the pumpkin one, and then there's the maple, which is the Dunkin' Donuts one. There's the matcha blueberry, there's the pumpkin one, and then there's the midnight dark one.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that the matcha blueberry was my least favorite of them.
Okay.
But I actually wound up really liking the maple, which I was surprised at given how sweet it was. Because I'll go for a sweeter beer, but when it comes to like stouts and things like that, but yeah, I actually found myself like, wow, I can taste the maple and it's not overpowering. It's pretty okay. All right.
Yeah, I was most curious about that matcha one, and it was even mentioned earlier on this episode. But one of my favorite beers from Abjuration is they make a real matcha milk latte type of beer. Yeah,
nice. I gotta check that out.
It's fucking great. So it if you've ever had a matcha frappuccino from Starbucks,
yeah,
tastes the exact same except this one has booze.
Always a plus.
That's just a net win, honestly.
Yeah. And you don't taste the booze because it's only 5%, but still,
okay.
It's better than walking around beer.
I mean, how creamy is that?
Very creamy.
Very creamy. Yeah.
Very creamy.
That's probably a no for me, dog. I can feel it in my stomach now. I'm like, no.
Yeah. This one has lactose, so if that's your kryptonite, don't fucks with it.
Yeah. I see. I don't know what it is. For me, like the mix with the dairy stuff, like that's why I was kind of surprised by that almond milk stout. Like I was expecting it to be creamier because I was just thinking, oh, it's a vegan, whatever. Okay, I could hang with that. But yeah, some of those, like a true milk stout or anything that's got like a dairy component to it.
Yeah.
I have to tread lightly.
Yeah, that happens to people, and it sucks. And more breweries should be better at labeling that. A lot don't, but
I don't even think I'm actually lactose intolerant. I just think I'm a wimp. I'm just like, no,
we're not 23 anymore.
Yeah, you're just getting
Chumpzilla got a sensitive tum.
Tummy hurts.
Welcome to the show. Prepare to be bullied.
Yeah. It's been a minute since I bullied somebody.
It's all good.
So just looking forward to 2022, though, are there any breweries opening in your area that you're interested in? And are there any movies that people should be on the lookout for?
I'm not aware of anything around me, but I'm going to take this opportunity to make the same Christmas movie recommendation I made a couple of years ago. And I made all the guys on the pod watch It's a Wonderful Life because Captain Cash, I don't think he had seen it for a while.
It'd been a hot minute.
Yeah. And then the Thunderous Wizard, Mary McCheese, had never seen it. And I grew up, my dad made me watch it when I was a kid, and I hated it. And then as I got older, and of course it's on every year on loop, right? I started watching it. And then, I think after becoming a father and having a family, the movie like hits different. And if you've never seen it, you're probably aware of it. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. Clarence the Angel. I mean, it's kind of part of like the American cultural zeitgeist from a certain period of time because it fell into the public domain in the 70s. So it became broadcasted like constantly on television because it was free. And it wasn't a huge hit when it came out in the 30s, but it became a much bigger hit in the 70s and into the 80s. And it became kind of a Christmas tradition, but it's like a 3-hour movie. So, I mean, you got to sit down for it. But yeah, I highly recommend it. It is a great movie. I mean, it's an epic. It covers World War I all the way through World War II. And if you pair it with that big Shanty graham cracker stout, have 3 or 4 of them. And by the end of it, you'll be sobbing. if you don't tear up at the end of this movie, you might not be human.
Listen, I'm going to fail that replicant test. I
I'm
just don't have the nostalgia. I just don't.
You're not drinking enough big Shanty, man. That's the problem.
You're not drinking. I don't know if you're not drinking enough or too much, but not the right amount.
Not the right amount.
Yeah.
Is that the moon, Mary? Do you want the moon? I'll get that for you.
We're going to trot out our Jimmy Stewart impressions. All right.
Oh, no, not that again.
Start. Start.
Yeah.
Captain Cash.
We gave Captain Cash a hard time on that pod because I can't remember what it was, but you kept going in and out of Jimmy Stewart and somebody else.
Oh, I don't remember.
It was fun. Yeah, we'll have to go back.
Brother. I don't remember because I drink on the pod, which tells you what kind of a terrible podcast guest and host I am.
Yeah.
Hopefully I remember this. I think we're going to be safe. If we're talking about movies that I'm looking forward to in 2022, there's a bunch of them because I love comic book movies and that's all they make anymore. But one in particular stands out, and that is Across the Spider-Verse. I loved Into the Spider-Verse. It may be the best Spider-Man movie. It might be the best superhero movie, and I cannot wait to see the follow-up.
I mean, that's a bit of a stretch there, in my opinion, Cash. But don't forget, it's Across the Spider-Verse Part 1.
Part 1, exactly. We're going to get to Part 2. I mean, to be fair, the first one was so good. I don't know how they catch lightning in a bottle like that twice.
Right. The first one was so good. Plus, and this is something I think you would agree with me on, is when they released Halloween Kills, it feels completely unfinished because you have to see the end of Halloween Ends to really experience the rest of it. So when you see Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, I almost guarantee you'll feel unsatisfied with the way it ends.
I'm hoping against hope that there'll be an arc for the like. It'll be like watching one of the Lord of the Rings movies where you're like, okay, there's more to the story, but there was an arc for this film. If I get that, I'm cool with it.
I think in the end you'll have a really nice 4-hour fucking movie. But
listen, I liked Dune this year. I liked Dune, but that was half a movie. I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the trap of the middle movie in a trilogy, right? Because usually the first film is like a complete story. It's a self-contained unit that ends with a possibility of something coming next. And then that second movie is almost always a cliffhanger, or at least a downer, right? I mean, it's the old Empire Strikes Back model.
Well, not Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. That was a complete film.
Oh, man. We did not do that one on the pod, but we did do Turtles Through Time.
That one's worse.
Oh, my. Yeah.
That was just dog shit. It's not even fun.
It's free on YouTube for reasons.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Are you going to make a copyright claim against this? I mean,
I don't want people knowing how associated with
themselves. Nope. Nobody wants to implicate themselves as being involved with that. But no,
out of sight, out of mind.
Yep. But no, I'm just excited. I've got my ticket tomorrow to go see Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty pumped. I'm a big Spider-Man guy. I'm not as big a fan of the Spider-Verse movie as Capt. I do own it. And I did enjoy it, but it was okay. But I'm pretty pumped to see what they do with this next Tom Holland movie, because it should be appropriately bonkers. So just wanted to get that in there. That's tomorrow. I'm excited.
I have a feeling that one can go one of two ways as well. That one can be a really fun, just half nostalgia trip that actually has a good story, or it'll be overstimulating and most people will fall into seizures.
I think it has.
I'm hoping for that sweet spot where it does both.
Yeah.
where you become paralytic but also come.
Yes, exactly.
Just all of human emotion, just like in one,
it just becomes
2.5 hour span. Yeah.
Yes.
I will say this. Before you go see that movie, listeners, if you plan on seeing Spider-Man: No Way Home and you haven't watched Hawkeye yet, you need to watch Hawkeye, because this week's episode makes a couple of subtle references to stuff that we'll probably see, or stuff that will have implications in this movie potentially, which I thought's really cool. I'm like, okay, Marvel, Disney, Feige, the mouse, like, well played. It's not crucial. It's not earth-shattering stuff, but it was kind of cool to see them make references. Mild spoilers, so I'm not going to say anything as to what it is, but check it out. Also, if you haven't seen Venom 2, I guess the mid-credit scene to that also has some implications for No Way Home. So that'd be my recommendation, to check those out before you go see it, because I had not seen Venom 2 until today.
I would skip that movie and just watch the scene if you need it.
That is also on YouTube.
Yeah.
And to my defense, I rented it for $1. I had enough credits saved up on Amazon. It was $1. I said, yeah, what the heck?
Yeah, sure. Don't spend more than a Redbox on that.
Yeah. It's because I didn't like the first one all that much, and the second one didn't win me over.
Yeah, I don't know what those movies are, but they're not good.
So why do they make so much money, Steve? That's what I don't understand.
Because people have shit brains.
It's just an ungodly amount of money for those things. And I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's Tom Hardy talking to himself for an hour and a half.
I think they make so much money because, honestly, like, they're not for me. I'm old and jaded and have like the original issues of when Venom showed up and remember the original Eddie Brock. The comic character has gone through so many different iterations and changes, and I don't think it has the same bearing on people who are younger than us anymore. So yeah, fucking cares what those movies are for me. If some kid likes it, then some kid likes it.
There is great power in saying, this movie was not made for me. Yeah. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wish there was a movie that was made for me, but if it's not, it's not. I still have Punisher Warzone.
Yeah. Let me know the next time they make a movie that isn't for the 18 to 35 demographic.
Don't squish up your Secret Wars number 8.
I just want to point out that I do have Black Suit Spider-Man still in the package from the 1984 Secret Wars action figures, as well as the entire limited series, including number 8, which was not the first appearance of the Black Suit, but the first appearance of the origin of the Black Suit on Battle World.
Iconic cover, though.
Yeah. So I'm not a huge Venom fan. I guess, even in the 90s, in his heyday, in the McFarlane days, I was always like, take him or leave him.
Yeah. Well, hey, without Venom, you don't get Spawn.
No, that's very true. I think one of the most interesting things about the character is that the guy who came up with the original idea for the Venom character was just some rando that pitched the idea to Marvel, like in the letter section, and they paid him like $250 for it.
Like, I like that. That's mine. I'm going to steal that. Yeah. $200.
$250. Yeah.
Here's a pittance.
Yeah. Well, that's, there are worse things that the comic industry has done, but yeah.
that's standard form, right? But
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you could get into an entire history of like what the fuck Bob Kane stole for Batman.
Oh no. Yeah.
Well, even talking Spider-Man, Stan Lee and Steve Ditko.
Yeah.
And hey, that iconic cover of Amazing Fantasy 15, that wasn't even Ditko, that was Kirby.
Right.
Oddly enough. I did not know that for many, many years.
Yeah, Jack Kirby did a lot of the more iconic art. But yeah, that's it. I don't know. I think we've had enough nerd talk.
That'll do.
Adam is lost.
I've become a third party on my own podcast.
Yeah.
Just watching you guys go, which is fascinating.
Yeah. It's all good, brother. Sorry about that.
Oh, no. It was great just watching you guys just talk shop like that on something I have literally zero idea about.
Comic books are fun, you guys. I like comic books a lot.
You guys, you want to talk about a comic book?
Zero hate.
Yeah. Worst podcast ever.
But thank you, Chumpzilla and Captain Cash, for coming on. Why don't you tell the audience where everybody can find you and your shows and, social media, anything else you want to promote?
For sure. Well, you can find our podcast, which is Hops and Box Office Flops, at Hops and BO Flops on most of the social media that's out there. We're on Podbean and kind of all the pod stuff. If you're looking for me, I'm at CAPTCASH on most of your social media.
Yep. And you can find me on Twitter at Chumpzilla8. And folks, feel free to hit us up. We're always looking for different movies to talk about. I mean, again, our podcast is called Hops and Box Office Flops. We tend to talk good beers and bad movies. And we're always looking for people's, favorite movies, guilty pleasures and whatnot. It can be a critical failure. It can be a commercial failure. Doesn't matter. We'll make it work.
The more it shoots the moon, though, the better. Like,
absolutely.
My favorite experience on the pod so far was definitely Cats 2019.
Oh my gosh.
What an experience.
Yeah, no. And Captain Cash and I literally met up in Atlanta and saw that in theaters with one other person, that poor woman.
And we were drunk and howling at the screen.
Was it an older lady?
It was. And at a certain point, we're like, can we get you a drink?
We're sorry. We're terrible people.
I remember when I met Andrew Lloyd Webber and gave him a hand job in the back.
Yeah, and seriously, I think she was like a Cat super fan. I'm pretty sure she was back there like singing along. She was.
If she'd have got up and sang in the aisles, it would have been a better experience. Right. That would have made my whole year.
Yeah, no, that would be
a picture show this shit.
That's exactly where this has to go. That's where this has to go. The only way to see that movie
again.
You got to go at like midnight with a bunch of other adults who have seen it at least once and are now out of their mind on drugs or alcohol. That's the move for this thing.
It seems like a real microdose film if I was into that. If I was into psilocybin.
There is nothing micro about the film Cats. You got to go as hard as possible, as hard as that film goes.
Fair enough.
Oh boy.
It's a trip. But hey, thanks guys for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on.
So actually, before you go, I had one film. I was hoping that you guys would have brought it up, but I just want to get your take on it. Have you seen the trailer for The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent?
No, I have not.
And
yes, you have.
Wait.
It is the film in which Nick Cage is playing Nick Cage.
Oh, wait. Yes, I have seen this. Oh my God, I lied. Maybe this is... See, like I watched this, and as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, now he knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Is he doing it in such a way that it's going to be entertaining, or is he doing it in such a way that this is going to be unsufferable? And it gets to the part in that trailer where he sees the waxwork of himself that Pedro Pascal's character has, and he looks at it and goes, that is grotesque. I'll give you $20,000 for it. I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. He gets it. This is going to be great.
Yeah. He's very self-aware, and he is, a national treasure.
I literally thought, he is, but I literally thought the movie was just called Nick Cage until right now.
Oh, okay.
But I'd still watch it if it was called that.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me, what's the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie? Jean-Claude Van Damme movie where he kind of plays himself, JVCD. Is that just
JCVD?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like this is the Nick Cage version of that, so I'm down.
Yeah.
What is the Nick Cage equivalent of doing the splits between two trucks? Two faces on the same head.
Two faces, or just straight up bug-eyed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime he just goes Yeah.
Anytime he does like the big emote with his hands and shakes and gets into it.
Right. Yeah. Uncontrolled twitching.
Yeah. Because hey, just my favorite Nick Cage movie that I've seen so far is definitely Vampire's Kiss.
Yeah.
Like, I had never seen that movie before until we did it for the pod. I was kind of aware of it because of the memes.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that movie. It's so weird, and it's supposed to be weird. It's trying to say something, and I really enjoyed that. That like, okay, that guy can really act. He made a lot of choices in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I respect that. It was a bonkers performance in a bonkers movie. It was perfect. So I'm looking forward to this. I still need to watch Pig.
Yeah, I haven't got to that one yet, but it's on my list. But
the Thunderous Wizard highly recommended it, and I still haven't gotten to it. But yeah, that's supposed to be good too. So hey, this might be a little bit of the Nick Cage renaissance. So let's see how it goes.
It's always a renaissance. He's always making choices.
The Cage-a-sance.
All right. Well, happy holidays, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks. You guys too.
Thank you.
Same to you guys. Take care, y'all.
Take care.
Our final segment of our 12 Guests of Christmas holiday special. We are joined with two very special friends of the show. We've had them on before. We get to have them on again. It's Brian and Jim from Drink a Beer and Play a Game from the Wooder side of the state. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much for having us back on. It's been a while since we've been able to drink with you guys. Appreciate it. And yeah, man, it's Christmas time and lots of good beers to have on this side of the state, I'll say.
And eventually we're going to be able to get together and drink a beer face to face.
Absolutely. I'm more than looking forward to doing that.
Yes.
Because I need you guys to bring me those Yinzer beers and we'll bring you what we got.
I like that. I think we could just wreck, I don't know. York seems like a good town just to,
I mean,
they got the Barbell Factory. That's something.
There you go. I think we should just go smack dab in the middle of Amish country and just try and give them, a nice 50-person town.
Yeah.
Louder than the entire populace.
We got to have some buggy races.
Yeah.
Steal some buggies and race them around.
Yeah. I mean, there's also somebody we talked to somebody who recommended us Shy Bear that's in like outside of fucking State College.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's more center of the state,
No, that's too far away from society. I'll definitely get lost and never be found again.
I can't be trusted.
See, that's why they call it Shy Bear, because everybody just goes there and realizes they're just back with nature again, and they don't ever want to go back.
Yeah, getting away from some of the society wouldn't always be the worst thing, right? I mean, come on. As long as you got good beer.
We've all learned that for the past 2 years, that being away from people, it ain't the worst.
No, it's not.
That's upsides.
And speaking of not the worst, beers. We got to talk about beers. What are you guys drinking?
Chambers, I'll let you go first.
All right. So, given it's the holiday season, I am drinking the Reindeer's Revenge American Tripel. Comes to us from the Iron Hill Brewery, 9%, and it is dangerously smooth at 9%. So, yeah, this is gonna. I have a 4-pack of these for the night, and tomorrow's gonna be fun at work.
Nice.
It's actually, sorry to interrupt, but yeah, nice and surprisingly clear. Some good lacing on the glass there from the head. I'm shocked. It's very good.
I like it.
Nice.
Good looking unit.
Nice. I stick in obviously PA as well. I'm going with the Free Will Special Cookie. It's their Imperial Spice Brown Ale with vanilla, cinnamon, brown sugar, cardamom, and ginger. It's 10.8%. And it has a picture of Krampus on the front. So of course, the horror person that I am, I saw that. I didn't read anything else. And I've never had an Imperial Spice Brown Ale before. It tastes like, I'm trying to think of a good way. It's like, imagine if Mad Elf tried to have sex with a pumpkin beer and it was a little stronger. It's like, it's throwing me off. It's not bad. It's just sweet, but it's spicy. It's all over the place, but first time ever trying it. So yeah, you can see it's got that like reddish brown tint to it. Fairly actually clear. The light probably isn't coming through the way it should. Head dissipates almost immediately, and solid lacing, but so far it's pretty good. And like Jim, 10.8%. I'm going to feel this tomorrow without doubt.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds like something that would have been at that Drink the Cookie Table fucking festival out here.
Oh, was that like specialty, all strong, like super sweet beers?
Yeah, it was all pastry stouts and fucking
and sours and
10%.
Just wrecking balls
by the end of it.
Yeah. I don't
a room full of wrecking balls.
I don't know that anybody died from it, but it's possible.
I'm sure there were some lives. Lives were shortened that night. I guarantee you that.
For sure shortened. And all that was swept under the rug so they can do it again. But
that's America for you.
That's right.
We're going to say it with the podcast we run. So we just found an excuse.
Cool. Also I like Jim, I like your that beer you're drinking there. It sounds a lot like their take on like Mad Elf. Seems like a lot of people get into those high triples. Yeah.
You know what? It actually it doesn't doesn't have like the cherry or like the over fruit flavor that the Mad Elf does, but I can kind of feel it and like just the mouthfeel, the aftertaste with it. So it's kind of like a similar experience without having like the same. Actually, it's kind of lighter, even though it's only 2% less alcohol wise.
Right.
So still puts up a good fight.
Cool. Well, for the people who don't know, and this is the first time experiencing Drink a Beer and Play a Game, obviously it's pretty apparent in the title what these guys are about.
No hidden agendas.
No hidden agendas there.
Surprise politics, fuckers.
But Jim and Brian, they drink a beer, play the game. They do beer pairings with video games and such. And obviously that's something that I'm into. I don't know how much Adam games. He sits on his toilet and does a 3-match maybe, but I just wanted to get you guys' kind of year in review on what was the best beers of 2021, best video games of 2021. Is there new breweries that you guys went to in 2021 that were surprising for you, especially out on the Philly side?
Yep. Jim, I'm gonna let you go first.
All right. So as far as the best beer goes, it's kind of tough because a lot of what I had for the first like 3 quarters of the year was still me finishing off random mix boxes that I got in the mail from subscriptions. So it's like kind of hard to nail down just one specific one that stood out for me. Comes from the Carl Strauss Brewing Company, and they did a collaboration with Bird Rock Coffee. So they had a golden stout with coffee. And me being like, it was one of those, like, I never really had a golden stout before. And I normally am not a huge, like, not that I dislike stouts, but it's just one I never go for the most part. But that one just really stuck out as just one that, like, as I was drinking, I was like, damn, this surprised me. Like, just enough that it was memorable that I'm like, that's probably the big standout of the year for me. And as far as an actual brewery goes, I've probably had the most from Harpoon because actually right now I'm in the midst of going through a whole case with their collaboration with Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh,
so they've been getting a lot of press on this episode.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You're not the first.
Our last guests from the Hops and Box Office Flops podcast, one of the Captain Cash, he's been running through that same variety mix as well. So
yeah, you know what? I'll say that everything I've had in it has been good. I don't think anything's like a standout or a must-have or anything like that, but it's all been really good. So if you want like a solid stout, a solid ale, a solid this and that, like the pumpkin beer I just had was really good, like surprisingly light, but really full flavored in the mouth. So yeah, it's a solid pack, gotta say.
Cool.
You think it's a gimmick, but then you get into it and you're like, oh, they actually pulled it off. Good for them.
I mean, Harpoon makes good stuff.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What do you guys though feel about all these? Like we see these Wawa, Sheets, Dunkin' Donut, like there's all these collaborative things pushing with like regular ass stores or whatever. Like,
yeah.
What is your take on that? Is it just a cash grab just to get the name recognition out there?
It is, and I must say that I am jealous from the western side of the state of what Wawa has done compared to what Sheets has done.
Yeah,
Wawa has made the superior moves, and Sheets has been a disappointment.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you have like one or two Sheets, sparse spattering in your areas, but I don't know if you know what they're doing with their beers anymore. Mm-hmm. But the past handful of collaborations they've done have all been with AB InBev. Mm-hmm. Giant breweries like Wicked Weed and Platform, and so they make these bunk ass beers that are like $8 a 4-pack, and they taste artificial as hell, and they're fucking not good. Whereas we hear all the time about how it's just a very simple partnership between Wawa and 2SP, and you just get the coffee stout, and that's it.
Yeah,
you get the coffee stout and you shut up. Out here on this side of the state, they're fucking making just like shitty $7, $8 donut hole like IPAs, and like it's disheartening.
Pure cash grab.
Yeah. Now speaking of PA gimmicks, though, would you rather have the Sheets AB InBev collab or the Yingling Hershey's collab? Because I know a lot of people seem to kind of hate that.
You know what? I actually like that beer.
I enjoyed it too.
That porter was for how much hate it got, and that was that this year or last year it came out?
It's every year.
Every year.
It's been out last year and possibly 2 years ago. It came out on draft only.
It came out 2 years ago, draft only, because I remember drinking
it in the before times.
Yeah. Yeah, I had it at a bar.
The hate it got, I was shocked. And then I tried it. I was like, this is not, like, of all the chocolate beers I've had, I was like, this is not bad at all.
Yeah.
Right. I was surprised. I'll put it
I was the same exact way. I kind of bought it just so I could confirm, my convictions that it was going to be terrible. And I was wrong. I'm willing to admit that. I was wrong. I enjoyed the beer. I would drink another one.
Yeah.
Now, the real question is, are you going to do that with the milk pours? Which, people love to talk about those as well.
Man, that is such a can of worms that you can open up talking about milk pours. I mean, it is hilarious. So there's a lot of breweries out this way that have been getting those taps. And there's even one that replaced their entire tap system.
Jesus.
That's Stick City?
Yeah, Stick City. They replaced their entire tap system with those side pulled taps. So you can run anything you want through those lines, and they don't always have to be that fucking milk tube that is, you can control it, but very few breweries actually understand how to control it. And one of the older OG breweries out here, End Brewing, which I feel like you guys may have heard of.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they have a pretty big presence, and a lot of people will know about their Gratitude barley wine. That seems to have countrywide recognition. But they installed a side pull this year, and we were talking to the owner this year on an episode, and he was pulling us milk pours and everything. And yeah, it's a fun little gimmick, and it's a nice thing that he was explaining. It was more common for those to be like a wind down beer, something that you something you have before you hit the road, maybe.
Mhm.
You're kind of coasting in for the night. It's not meant to be like, oh, this is my drinking experience for the entire day. I'm just drinking foam all fucking day at the brewery. Ooh la la.
Yeah, I thought of that as soon as we talked cash grabs and how much that sparked up this past year.
Yeah.
So you're talking about years in review. Because I saw that right away. I thought that. But yeah, I mean, if I'm going like Jim, see, I try to, since we are all PA boys here, talking about a new beer I tried. So have either of you ever tried the Shanty Brewing Company in Poconos?
No.
No, I don't think we get them out this way.
Yeah, so I don't know if how far out they go, but my brother and I went to this like resort. It was like a golf resort or something. I don't play golf, my brother does, but it was like a Father's Day gift. Brewery on site, and when I have nowhere to go, I knew the first time going in there, I'm trying every beer on the menu. I'm doing a flight of everything, and then I'll dive deeper into whatever. One of their beers was called like I'm going to completely butcher the name, the Aprius, I believe. Basically, it's their honey ale, but it's 6.1%. So anytime I've ever had a honey ale, the thing that always is remarkable is like how light it is. And this stays true. It's 6.1%. It's not overly sugar. It's like very light. And I bought like 3 or 4, like 4 packs just from there because I was like, oh, I love this beer. So that was a nice one. Unfortunately, I don't think they get as much mass production. So I don't know if you're going to be lucky enough to see it, but if you're ever in the Pocono area, I would recommend trying that. As far as breweries, so we had on our podcast Hannah Godey, who is the head brewer of Naked Brewing Company. And I've mentioned previously, Naked Brewing Company was not that good of a brewery. And then she took over, and she was actually the head brewer at Free Will for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she's been through a few places, and what she's already turned around, like when I went back and I saw these new beers and I tried their basic core beers, like she does a cream ale, which very few people do cream ales and do them well. And this was one, because that's like, to me, the easiest drinkable craft beer there is.
It's baseline.
Yeah, exactly. And now she's taking it in a way where she's trying to like compete with, I would almost say, current trends, but putting her own twist. So you have all the basic beers, your stouts, porters, IPAs. Then she has like a good line of sours, because she noticed like the market of people that want sours is increasing. But their unique thing is she has a whole line of cocktail inspired beers. And it is so weird. The hell was the one called? Not Sex on the Beach, but like a Malibu Bay Breeze, but it was a beer. And I was drinking, and I was like, this is really fucking with my head. It's like a Malibu Bay Breeze, but it's a beer. And like, so they do it really well. And, like going over there, interviewing her at the place, like, I just love it. So that is probably my go-to brewery in terms of they're trying new stuff all the time. And every beer has a unique touch that you can tell like is from the brewer. So yeah, that would be my brewery from the past year for sure.
Nice. That's
right
cool.
on.
That's cool that you have a kind of a reinvigoration story, a brand, because we had something similar happen over this way too. A brewery called 412, and they the original brewer was, I don't know, I don't want to speak too ill of them, but like, their brand just did not innovate. It didn't change enough. And then they sold it to people who really, really know fucking beer. And it completely turned around, and it's a good brewery now. Speaking of other cocktail inspired ales, we have a couple breweries out here that do that as well. And Hitchhiker, which you've probably heard of, they do they do a painkiller copy.
Oh yeah. That's the 18.44.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite beers by them.
How strong is it?
It's only like 6 or 7, I think.
Yeah,
it's not a blow your ass off. Yeah. I don't think it's a blow your ass off one.
Well, if you drink enough of them, it will be.
Yeah. Just thinking like the majority of their stouts are all like 8 to 10, but this isn't a stout. It's it's more of a just kind of a juicy good times.
So it's funny you talk about specialty beer. We just talked about cocktail beers. one of the beers that she made was the Irish potato stout, and it was a white stout, and it has the flavors of an Irish potato. And here's my question: before, like maybe 3 years ago, I've never even heard of a white stout, and I mean, I'm still kind of like, it's like weird drinking it, especially once you pour it. Have you guys seen a lot of those? And is that something you think, just like the trends for other beers, like is that going to be a new novelty beer, the white stout?
So I've seen it in the past, again, probably last 3 years or so. I've seen them starting to crop up. I know, again, back to Hitchhiker, they've got one out right now. Reingeist, the Point of Confusion. Reingeist from Cincinnati, they've had one out for the last year or so. So it's been out and about, and I don't know if it's going to be the next hype beer, but I wouldn't mind it.
I don't think it's going to really catch on as like the next type beer. I think one of the really earliest ones we had was on this show by a brewery out of Cleveland called Saucy Brewworks. They had one called the Phobia, and it's just it was super new style at that time. And even then, the kind of the guidelines on what that style is just make it with everything but roasted chocolate malt. There you go.
But I don't think it's going to go the way of the glitter beer, where it popped up really hard for like 3 months and then disappeared again.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be kind of just a steady lower. I shouldn't say lower tier beer, but lower recognition.
Yeah. Did you guys ever get Full Pint out your way?
I've never seen it.
In years past, they're like they have a bigger distro, and maybe you'll see them in the future. But that's another brand that got revitalized. They closed in 2020 or 2019.
It was 2020 because it was right at the beginning of the pandemic.
Okay, yeah. So it wasn't a pandemic closure. It was just
right.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just going out of business, and they recently reopened in 2021 with a new brewer, and so they're doing a lot of the old portfolio, but one of the new portfolio ones is a white stout as well, and it was really good. So
nice.
Yeah, like I said, I don't necessarily want to say it's a gimmick beer, but honestly, that's how I look when I see those things. I go, it's just a gimmick, like you said, maybe not the way of the glitter beer, but it's gimmicky and it's funny. I just looked up Full Pint, and I did have their Night of the Living Stout.
Yeah, that was a pretty popular one back in the day.
Yeah,
and so the white stout is actually, I believe it's called Dawn of the Living Stout. So it's the new brewers making a play on the old brand. But they also have restarted making the original Night of the Living Stout as well.
Well, those sons of bitches are going to get my money because it's anything horror and beer related.
Yeah, right.
I'm a sucker for so.
Yeah, it's all good shit. So, did you guys have anything? Any top games of 2021?
Yeah, Jim, go ahead. I just blabbed for too long.
No, that's fine. My top game of 2021 was a game that came out in 2020 because the game I definitely spent the most, but probably at least it's a good game. It's Hades.
All right, as long as it wasn't one of your hentai games.
No. Those are for me, not for the public. But I mean, Hades
special games.
I mean, the lotion's not in camera view.
It's behind the Keystone flag.
See, always planning ahead. But yeah, I mean, Hades, like I heard about it, and I like roguelikes like that, but anytime something gets like that much praise, it's either really great or something's off there, but it really did live up to the hype. It's one I got sucked into. It's been a while since I had a game that I really wanted to pick up and I actually kept thinking about. So it's one I wanted to keep going back to. It's always just one more try. I can beat it this time. And it's like, oh shit, there's a whole nother level to this. God damn it. But yeah, that big sigh of relief when you finally do survive a round, then it's like, do it 10 more times. And I went, no, I'll do that later. So enough of that.
Yeah, I once again, it's my typical. It was Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil Village. The whole thing was it went back to first person shooter. They've had a lot of great remakes, which were cool, but they took this in a different direction with like vampires, werewolves, and it got way more press than it should have because of Lady D, as she was called, just tall vampire chick with humongous hooters. So, that was the press for the game for the longest time.
Yeah.
But it's actually a really good game. And it's nice for people like Jim and I, who it's like, we don't get all the time in the world to even game as much as we would like. So you can beat it in like 5 or 6 hours. It's not a 40-hour game. So I liked it a lot. For a casual fan or someone who's really into it, I think it could appease both ones. But like I said, that was my game of the year, and that came out January or February. So it was pretty early in the year too. I still go back to it to this day. What about you guys? Anything stand out this year for you all?
I actually, it was just like through PlayStation Plus, but Control.
Oh yeah,
that one always looked good. I want to play that.
Control is a lot of fun, and one of the best parts of it is just how much time they spent crafting lore into it. And it is like playing a kind of mix between Twin Peaks and the X-Files.
Yep.
Oh wow.
It's fucking weird as hell, and you'll be confused. Like, I'm still kind of confused, and I'm deep into it, but like, you'll be confused for a long time, and then pieces will start coming together, and you go, all right, I get it.
It's a mind fuck of a game for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, it's also very fun and very like tongue in cheek with a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's a great game.
Nice,
very nice.
And I'm still working on Gran Turismo 4.
Yeah. I keep
every
pushing.
year's 2007 if you try hard enough.
I keep sending him videos of like Gran Turismo 7, like all the trailers for that. It's just like, gotta get that PS5, dude. Find it.
Well, the thing with that is, if I'm gonna do it for the new Gran Turismo, I should just go get a rig and go start playing iRacing.
Well, no,
and just be done with it.
But it's actually crazy when you bring it up, like just the way graphic, like it always seems like racing games get the most graphics to them. Like the new Forza that just came out looks ridiculous, and I wish I had a Series X just to be able to fully experience it. Because you guys were talking about what games you're looking forward to, and like it's out now, and I probably could play it, but I have an original Xbox One, so I want to play the new Halo. Like, I'm a Halo fanboy. I hear it's a return to form, but I don't want to do it unless I'm playing it on like the best spec machine just to get the full experience out of it.
Right.
It'll probably be until next year at the earliest, so I get to play that. So
Christmas is right around the corner.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had to tell my wife. She asked what I want. I said PS5 or Xbox One or Xbox Series X. I said, but do not spend over like this amount. Like, she's like, oh,
MSRP.
Yeah. She's like, oh, there's like, they are available at like Best Buy for like $1,200. I was like, do not ever think about that shit.
That's house payments.
Yeah. I was like, no. I was like, one, we ain't got that. Two, no. I said, I'm one of those, I'll wait it out. I'll wait the storm out, wait till it's 500, 400, whatever it should be, and then I'll get it.
Yeah. When it starts coming in a bundle, then I'll start looking.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Plus by the time, you get to those iterations of it, they've gotten most of the mechanical failure bugs. If there are any. I haven't heard, because Red Ring of Death was real popular back in the day, and then there was a bunch of failures on PS4 like through different iterations, but it seems like they haven't had many of those crop up with the latest.
So far, yeah, we haven't heard anything about it, and I'm almost curious, like, is it just because there's not enough out there?
Right.
Or, like, I don't know. But yeah, we haven't heard any issues so far. But man, those kids today will never appreciate the Red Ring of Death and all the other little system failures.
Actually, they might, because Xbox is selling a poster commemorating the Red Ring of Death. For $25 goddamn dollars. Yeah, it's an actual poster of just the 3 red rings around the center thing and like a little throwback, like, What? Why are you doing this? Hey, remember when our hardware sucked? Well, you can relive all those joys for $25 with a piece of paper.
Remember when our shit was all broke?
Yeah, that's the only time I can ever remember somebody trying to make money off of their failings.
Yeah, well, not the only time.
That's most Twitch streamers. So.
Isn't that what Nintendo does anytime it mentions N64?
Yeah, or the virtual
bastard.
Isn't there like, Virtual Boy stuff you can buy in Animal Crossing or something?
Yeah.
Wow, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Virtual Boy. Jeez. Just got to bring up the Power Glove.
Well, Power Glove, had a whole movie towards it, but I only knew one friend that had a Virtual Boy, and thing was a fucking eyesore.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep my Power Glove also behind the flag back here, so I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. The Power Gloves next to the lotion, next to the
as it should be,
next to the Oculus rig, next to.
Oh God, I wish. Wait, what?
Could only be so lucky.
Only one lottery ticket away.
Saber.
Cool. Is there anything you guys are looking forward to in 2022?
Game wise, I'm a big Total War fan, and Total Warhammer 3 is coming out. So that's a game that I've really been looking forward to. Other than that, it's probably all the same old boring answers you'd get from anyone, like new God of War. Well, once again, I have to get the system, but when that comes out, I'm a Gran Turismo fan as well. So Gran Turismo 7, just all those. The Elden Ring one looks pretty interesting. I still don't quite know what the hell it's about, but it looks interesting. And as a diehard fan of the Evil Dead series, they're coming out with a game that actually looks pretty solid for an Evil Dead game. So all those I'll definitely look forward to for sure. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, and I think I'm setting myself up for failure. I know it, but I'm actually kind of looking forward to the new Sonic game. Like, I don't care about 3D Sonic games at all, but it looks like Sonic crossed with Breath of the Wild, and I love Breath of the Wild, and I love Skyrim, and you give me Tails and I can fly around the world. Like, I can get some fun out of that, as long as they don't totally screw the pooch, which it's 2010 3D Sega. Yeah. Oh God, what am I doing?
Yeah. You're way past fool me twice, shame on me. It's like fool me 13 times. And what is that?
But don't worry, like most of their games, it'll probably be $20 after like 3 months. So it'll be fine. I can get it.
Yeah. And what about you guys? Anything on the horizon that's interesting you?
Interested in tricking Adam to fucking buying a PS5, and then,
do it, Adam.
And then
I'm getting closer to it every day. I will admit that.
And then I have discovered that there's been like 4 more fucking Yakuza games that have come out.
Oh, dude, there's so many. Like, that's a series I want to get into, but I'm the type of guy who has to like start with the first one and like do the whole story and shit like that.
Right.
And once you hit like the 10 game mark, I'm just like, crap. I'm either never going to get around to this, or like I hear the most recent one, like the RTS, or not RTS, the turn-based one.
Turn-based, yeah,
is actually like such a departure for the most part. You can kind of jump in with that one. So
yeah.
That might be the one I actually jump into if I get a chance.
I think all the more recent ones you can kind of jump into, because like what I'm stuck on is I went back and bought so they've been re-releasing all of them basically on PS4, but they had a pack of 4, 5, and 6.
Ooh.
And so I've been playing through all those, and so like the protagonist that's been up to 6, he kind of exits the series on 6. And then that's why that turn base is different, because it's a completely whole new cast of characters. And then the other new ones are all based around a detective. So you can jump into any of those and start anew. But
interesting. Yeah, that's a series that's all completely available on the Xbox Game Pass. So I was like, I might have to dive in. But similar to Jim, I know I'm starting with 1. So
yeah. It's a good series. Like the games they'll get repetitive, but there's a lot of fun to be had in there. So
yeah, for sure.
I also like that they don't take themselves seriously either.
Oh
it's
yeah,
I'm sick of the doom and gloom. Just give me something goofy and fun.
Yeah.
We've had enough of that in the real world.
Yeah,
it's goofy, it's fun. After you get tired of fucking smashing people over the head with a bike, you can just go play a bowling mini game or fucking learn how to play mahjong. Like, yeah, it's
there
great.
You go.
Like Tekken before it, bowling is always there when you need it.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, you guys. We're going to go around the horn now, and we're going to go back to all the beers that we've been drinking this episode, but we're going to start with our guests. And Jim, if you want to just start off and remind us what you were drinking and if you have final thoughts on it.
The Reindeer's Revenge American Tripel by Iron Hill Brewery. This is delicious. Like, normally triples are kind of thick. Normally they're kind of heavy sometimes, but normally when I drink them, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have a headache after 3 of these. I'm not feeling that yet. I will probably be wrong. Time will tell. But at least for right now, like this is sitting very like this is one of the smoother triples I've had. And at 9%, I'm like, this is going to do the job. So, and we were talking about it off camera, how Iron Hill isn't really known for like putting stuff in cans. So kind of a surprise to everyone. I'm shockingly impressed. Good for them.
Right on.
Nice. Yeah. And my Free Will special cookie, once again, it's the Imperial Spice Brown Ale with vanilla, cinnamon, brown sugar, cardamom, and ginger at 10.8%. Does not taste like it at all. It went down way too smooth. It's not even sitting heavy in my stomach. But what is odd is I'm getting that like sugar on the lips and like that like sugar coating, but there's still like a spiciness of the, I guess, the cinnamon and like ginger. Like if you ever had a lot of those ginger beers, you know that lingering spice, like spice. So it's a very odd mixture. I would recommend it if you like stronger beers, because I don't know how I'm going to feel after maybe 2 more of these, but right now I'm okay. And that's kind of dangerous. So I would recommend it.
Right on.
Yeah, so, we haven't had a good, like, strong brown ale out this way in a while.
No.
Yeah.
That needs to change.
Yeah.
We need to rattle some cages, make some phone calls.
Yeah. We got brown ales, but we don't got a big one. I want a big one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, once again, the eastern side of PA is better. So.
Shut up.
Oh, here we go.
Shut up. You can't read. Shut up.
You said you wouldn't say that.
So, Steve, what about you? What do you think of the beer that you had?
Yeah, so to remind everybody who's made it all the way through the episode and come back to what I was drinking, I'm drinking the Winter Solstice, which is a Cascadian dark ale, also known as a black IPA, that was brewed with spruce tips, and it's made by Allegheny City Brewing Company and a collaboration with a new brewery coming up, Fermata. Yeah, this is a fantastic beer. It's amazing. It has a lot of herbal and spruce flavor notes to it, but it's not hoppy. It's not traditionally hoppy. So don't try to think of it as a black IPA that way. And like the more that it warmed up, a lot more of those notes came out. Beer has a great evolution to it. And even though it's not the fucking gas that drink a beer and play a game are drinking, it's 6.4. This will help you get through the family times. So yeah.
And I must say the can art is fantastic on it.
I like that a lot. It's like it's the Aurora right behind that Christmas tree. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad the simplistic looks are starting to go away again, and like we're actually getting some real artwork back.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So wait, Steve, since you said it was spruce tips and it's not really like the typical hoppiness, like what's the sensation? Because I never had anything with like spruce, and I can imagine the smell of spruce.
Right.
Like, I know this is going to sound really stupid. Is like the smell of spruce what you almost taste on the tongue?
No, it's much more just like bright. Like it's a far more bright version of like what you would expect from hops. If you remember like any of the old style kind of West Coast IPAs that were mainly Simcoe that had a lot of that pine flavor on that. Just think of spruce tips kind of that way, and they can, but they're a lot more bright, a lot less heavy on the beer. They don't weigh it down as much. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
These beers are few and far between because you have to harvest the spruce tips at a specific time. But if you can find spruce tip beers, I definitely suggest them. They're a great switch up to like any kind of just regular IPA.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm glad that I've got 1 or 2 of those sitting in my beer fridge. Because after what you've been talking about it, and earlier you said this seems like the beer that I would enjoy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get into it.
Oh yeah. We've had some good spruce tip beers throughout the year because we had that one at the Homebrew Fest as well.
Yes,
that wasn't a dark ale. It was just kind of like a lager actually. Yeah, it was a spruce lager. That was really good.
Ooh.
But Adam, coming back to your beer, how do you feel?
So I enjoyed it. I mean, it's for those that don't know, Abjuration is fantastic. I was drinking the Abjuration candied sour. It was the version 1.112. Unfortunately, the glass is empty because that means I don't have any more. But
unfortunately for us,
yes, yeah. So it is a cotton candy sour, and it absolutely hit the taste of cotton candy. That's something that we found with Abjuration is they call their shot. Whenever you find these big, bold flavors and stuff like that, you are not left wanting trying to figure out where that flavor is. And this is just another example of that. And it was, it's only like 5.5% ABV. So, the alcohol is not what's going to get you. It's the sweetness. It's definitely a one and done kind of beer. You could probably have two if you really wanted to, but it has a high level of sweetness to it. So it's a dessert. It's a treat, bar none. Yeah. But it's a very good treat. Well crafted.
Yeah. Good.
Oh, no. I was going to say, is that another one where it pays to let it warm up a little bit?
Honestly, not really. It was good right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The all of Abjuration's sour series, you can just drink them right up, just right off the bat. They're fine cold. Their flavors are just fucking huge. So
it's nice to hear that they have like a lot of flavor. It's not like the 1,000 milkshake IPAs out there that are like, oh yeah, milkshake IPA, and then it's just like one tiny little splash of lactose, and they're like, oh yeah, that counts.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. So the thing with Abjuration, and this is a brewery you guys should definitely check out if you ever make it out this way. If you're just on a road trip to Chicago, stop in Pittsburgh, go to Abjuration. They have a very strong. The way they build their beers is they build it with a very strong base. And so they have these very strong sour bases that accept flavor incredibly well. And so they build a candied sour one. So they make Swedish Fish, cotton candy, fucking
Skittles,
yeah, red slushy. Like it's crazy. And then they just started with another series of candied soda sours. And they've done like root beer, cola, cream soda. And like all of these beers taste exactly like soda, but like fucking they have beer in it. Like it's insane. It's the craziest thing to try to explain to somebody who has like no idea about beer.
Yeah.
Like if you can't taste it, you don't understand. But yeah, their root beer sour is like one of the craziest things I've ever had. And I love it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta find that.
Yeah. I would definitely be down to try that for sure.
That one's like a tap room only so far, but they may make it more in the future. But yeah, great beers.
So, all right, Brian, we're making a drive. Fuck the coof.
Say we'll make some phone calls. Let them know you're coming.
Yeah. But once again, thanks for coming on the show, you guys. Why don't you give out your plugs where everybody can find you?
Yeah, thanks so much for having us on. Actually, if anyone here listening wants to dip their toes into our podcast, which is known as the Power Hour, very creative for a beer podcast, I know, you can check out episode 106, where Adam and Steve from Hop Nation joined us. So we've had them on our show. We were on episode 191 of them before. So definitely a lot of ways you can check us both out together. If youtube.com/drink a beer play a game official, or just search for drink a beer play a game. You have to go past like 5 Luke Bryan songs to find us, but we're there. Twitter @a beer in a game, Facebook we're on there, Instagram we're on there, and our website drinkabeerplayagame.com, where we have a lot of our written beer reviews and of course our merchandise. And if how could I not mention patreon.com/drinkabeerplayagame, where you can ask questions that we'll answer on every single episode of our podcast, get game review requests, use our descriptions for our videos as a billboard for your content, all kinds of good stuff there.
Yeah. Plus, they also offer beer and game pairings like the SNES Alien 3 and Alien Church by Tired Hands, which,
that I'll say I take those pairings as seriously as someone who drinks too much beer can. I mean, I will say there is thought put into them. Sometimes I'll go for the low hanging fruit. Other times I have a whole descriptor on our website of certain styles of beer pair better with certain styles of games. And here's the logic behind it. So
Yeah. I mean, hey, I think the one I just mentioned is pretty obvious for anybody who knows the can art, which is very Geiger-esque inspired. But yeah,
absolutely.
Awesome. And if you want to find us, all you have to do is search Hop Nation USA. They'll get you Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you want to listen to brand new episodes of the Hop Nation USA podcast every Friday, as you should, then search Hop Nation USA in your favorite podcatcher like Spotify, Pandora. Finally, we're on there. Stitcher, Podbean, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We're on everything that starts in pod and ends in cast. And if you're on any of those platforms, leave a 5-star review because
we are a 6 Red Ring of Death show, but they only let us use 5.
And that's a bigger crime than any motherfucker scalping a PS5 for more than $1,000. God, you are ruining people's Christmases. Quit it.
Goddamn right.
Quit it.
Thank you, boys. We really appreciate coming on.
Yeah. Thank you guys for coming on here as well. It's a good time.
We don't talk to you guys before then. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that good stuff.
For sure.
And Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Yep. Happy New Year as well. And then, we'll all make it into 2022 of this awful hellscape. I mean, hooray for everybody.
It can be both.
Guys.
It can be both.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, buds.